Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small, insignificant law firm in central Minnesota. And with me today is the chat. The chat is with me. Hi, guys. How's it going? I am really happy to be here tonight. We have got some sweet happenings going on. We will have an update on KamehaCon. I will start talking about that right away. Well, I mean right away in just a minute. We will have a phone call from the Beard himself after his first anime convention. We can all call him a huge nerd. We can call him a huge nerd. We can make fun of him a little bit. We will be discussing Meyer versus Mark Waid. Because there has been a filing after like 3.5 months. We finally have beaten the deadline of jurisdictional discovery. We will be reading through the response of Meyer. If you are not familiar, this is Diversity in Comics. Ya boy Zach, Richard Meyer, now known as Comics Matter with ya boy Zach. He is a YouTube personality. He reviews comic books, became a force to be reckoned with in the comics industry. His reviews and criticism got massive traction, except amongst the in crowd, who all derided him for never having created his own comic book. So what does he do? He takes to the internet. He crowdfunds his own comic. It is called Jawbreakers Lost Souls, and he blows the roof off the sales of major comic book productions, just as one guy, just a guy who has been honest with his community. That's it. That's all it took. A shocker. Be good to your audience and your fans, and they will support you. This is what he has done. But there was a pimply-faced marshmallow of a man, if we can even call him a man and not just a giant tubby baby, named Mark Waid. Mark Waid, a legendary writer for Marvel Comics, who said, "No, sir, you, your boy Zach, will not be publishing a comic while I am on my white knight horse with my flaccid lance and piddly shield. You will not do it. Instead, no, I will defeat you by doing what all of the other scumbags do, and I will try to ruin your ability to get a job." And he called the publisher and he demanded or threatened or something. We're going to find out what he did today. And suddenly the publisher, who was just the day before standing strong next to your boy Zach, got a little bit scared and pulled the plug on the project. Well, my friends, it was in Texas. It is tortious interference. And it is why Shane is the most embarrassing person on Twitter, but why Mark Waid is the most embarrassing person in comics. And then he got a lawsuit served on him. I heard he cried when he got it and just has no idea why on earth it's not okay to ruin someone's income. We'll see. But we're going to be talking first about KamehaCon. That is just a primer. While I kill time for the phone call from Mr. Ty Beard, which should be coming any seconds. That's why I've got the headphones on. Mr. Ty Beard will be reporting in just a moment. So I'm going to read through some of these $20 chats, and then we will commence as soon as Ty calls. We will be Johnny on the spot with the rest of the show. Hang out with me. There's also, real quick, this is not a $20 chat, but this bears relevance. Mr. Mayhem, before the stream, said you should do a video about the recent Tim Pool versus Studio FOW situation over the name Subverse and their porn video game. Well, it's got porn, it's got video games, it's got IP conflicts, and it's on the internet. What better topic to cover? Tomorrow, I will have Mr. Pool on. We have not figured out a time yet. It will not be at the normal 11 o'clock time. Stay tuned to Twitter because Tim Pool will be on to talk about his brand Subverse. We will talk about the lawsuit that is pending or the IP battle, whether it manifests as a lawsuit or not. We will see. But we will be talking about trademark infringement with Tim Pool. So, that should be a fun show tomorrow. It'll probably be a little shorter than normal, but stay tuned. We will announce it as soon as we hammer out the time. So there's that. Next, Siren Jag says, and now the marks in thoughterly and technical merit for Dominique Sky. 10, 9.9, 9.9, 9.9, 9.8, 9.5, 9.9. That slip at the end is going to cost her the gold. East German judge, no. Thank you, Siren Jag. We will talk a little bit about Dominique and that developing situation. Very developing situation. The DCV Titan says, question about Tim Pool and his trademark complaint versus Studio FOW for their game Subverse. Does Tim have a leg to stand on, as it appears his trademark application number blank was filed April 8th, 4 weeks after the kickstart? Yes, it does appear he has a leg to stand on, because registering a trademark and having a trademark are two different things. We've talked about this through the Maddox trademark dispute, but there are benefits, of course, to registration that are very helpful, involving statutory damages and stuff like that. However, that's deep technical stuff. I don't know if we'll get to that with Tim, but just know that, yes, Tim, using Subverse for years, with a growing channel, a growing YouTube channel, almost 100,000 subscribers and 15 million, I believe, monthly views, certainly has at least a strong argument that he has a trademark in Subverse. He has sold branded merchandise. Studio FOW may have FOW'd up on that one. Next, Cloudfire 181. Hi, Nick. I met Vic today at KamehaCon with the beard. You'll be pleased to know he got a bigger line than Sabbath. I had no doubt. Oh, we're also going to talk about Monica's crowd, because there is a man on the inside clicking, counting, checking out the attendance for Real's event. And we have some data. We have some data on how many people showed up to Monica's event. So we will talk about that as well. He got a bigger line than Sabbath. Vic for the win, and he was just as nice in person as on video. Also, this is my first super chat to you. Enjoy, and I am very much enjoying it. It was a well-executed super chat. Highest of marks. Where did my mouse go? There we go. Great job, buddy. Miss Meadow Kitty says, tardy and borderline homosexual. Love you, Nikki. I thought it was on time today. Are my clocks different than your clocks? Bo Stoker says, thanks, Ty, for nerding with me today on 40K stuff. Great guy. Crazy number of people wanting pictures with him. Joke with Vic that I thought this was the Ty Beard receiving line. Laugh was worth 3+ hours standing in Vic's line. Holy smokes, buddy. Great job. Thank you so much for sticking out. I saw pictures of the line throughout the day. A massive, massive line. Here, Vic had his own floor entirely, but Ty will help me talk about that because he was there in person. Mithran Emmer says, hey, Nick, working on preliminary research and trying to avoid the siren song of the involuntary public figure issue in defamation. It is so bright and shiny. trying to avoid going down that rabbit hole. My friend, I would suggest going down that rabbit hole and just defeating the argument at the onset. Go ahead and acknowledge its existence and destroy it with public policy provisions. And I would suggest citing the public policy and technological differences between its creation when involuntary public figure status took a massive undertaking from a major news organization to now, where involuntary public figure status can come from any idiot with Twitter. So go ahead and I would suggest starting there. And of course, if I can in any way help, please let me know. Bo Stoker, I am attempting to help a SEAL medic who is charged with the wrongful death of an enemy combatant. Whoa! He is sequestered and out of reach of counsel. Our fears he will be swept under the rug. Papers have been brought to Trump. Holy cats, buddy. Email me about that, please. I would love to talk about that. That is a wild case, man. That is wild. Miss Meadowkitty says, as Nick pondered, nearly sleeping, suddenly there was a screeching, as if blue hairs were weeping at my chamber door. 'Tis Ty serving papers, and nothing more. Fantastic. Thank you. Star Goddess Kotau? Star Goddess Kotau? Kotu? Emish showed Vic Mignogna, saw the manga I did for him and commented through a video, my life is complete. Awesome. I'm so glad that Vic got to see that. So much good stuff comes in for Vic that he doesn't get to see all of it. We try to get it to him when we can. I'm very, very happy. Very happy. I like the Spike Man said, Studio FOW is really dumb for doing this. Hugely dumb. Hell, they play super on the lines of law as it is. I'm sure 3D animated bestiality is not a hill you want to die on. Hope you and Tim can get a ball rolling. I hope so too. Here's my plan for that. Tim, tomorrow, for probably an hour to 2 hours, depending on what he's got available. He's a very, very busy guy, as you guys know. He's all over all sorts of stories. Now this is his story. So I am going to do my best to help him tell it. Yeah, let's help him get the ball rolling. I will have him on, and then I will do a follow-up, like 15-minute summary video like I did with Hambly and stuff like that. So hopefully that can get a lot of eyes on it, with Tim and you guys hopefully sharing that video. We will have both fronts, the live stream talk and the condensed summary version that will follow. Blaine20 says, Monica, as our buddy Hambly would say, get woke, go broke. All right, let's start talking KamehaCon. Let's start talking KamehaCon a little bit. Oh, wait, we got one more. Stand with Vic says, what are the chances to have a stream on Monday with a reading of any filed complaints? They're high. Also, I graduate in 2 weeks, then bar prep starts, making sure I sleep very good beforehand. Pray for me, chat. I will do my best. Congrats, buddy. Graduation and bar prep. Enjoy your graduation. Enjoy it. Bar prep, hammer those multiple choice questions. That's what's going to get you through. And here we go, guys. I've got Ty Beard coming on just a second. Hold on, Ty. One second. This one. All right, now you're in my ears, and let me get you on with the audience here. Okay. Here we go. Howdy, Ty. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Nick, I'm doing fine. Driving back on a rainy and cold mid-April Dallas evening. It's 43 degrees down here.
Woo! It's like 39 here. You're doing terrible for Texas. What's going on, man?
I don't know. Some kind of, I guess, late year blue norther blew in, but it stormed all the way when we drove up to the convention today.
Well, yeah. So the first thing, I want to congratulate you. Obviously, you cannot see the chat, but they are all welcoming you. I want to congratulate you on going to your first anime convention. And
yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, I bet. But I have to say one thing first. Nerd.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, we all knew, but now it's official.
Yeah. Well, it was never too far from the surface up here.
So thank you so much for calling in. I know you're driving, so
Sure.
however long you can share with me is great. We are opening up the show talking about KamehaCon. What I'm hoping you'll share with me what you experienced. All I've got are pictures from Twitter and reports. I've been gone all day, so I've barely been able to follow anything.
Well, of course, we got there about 11:45, 11:30, something like that. We got out of Tyler a little later than I intended. But anyway, we got there. Vic had his own floor. In fact, I walked in, and of course, being a typical male, I didn't ask for directions.
Oh, of
So
course.
no, of course not. I'm not allowed to, actually. But anyway, we walked around and looked and looked and looked. And finally, I broke down, swore my daughter to absolute secrecy. And you won't tell anybody, I'm sure, Nick.
No one will
But
hear
anyway,
this ever.
I walked over and I said, "Where are they signing autographs?" And the girl says, "Well, over in the such and such room. Who do you look for?" I said, "Vic," and that's all I got was. And she goes, "Oh, 4-4." I said, "Oh, so you've been asked this question a lot today." She said, "Yes, I have."
So Vic,
Yeah.
he had his what you described. He had his own floor, basically.
Yeah. It actually really couldn't have been better. In fact, I told us I would ask for this setup next year. Originally they had him up there because of security concerns and that type of thing. But as it worked out, his fans had plenty of room to spread out. The carpeted areas, there wasn't any kind of noise. There's no way they could have put him down on the main floor. His fans would have flooded out the whole area. They had to call the fire marshal. So it really couldn't have been a better, as it turned out, it could have been a better venue.
Yeah, from what I saw, the pictures, the lines, just astronomical, and filling this huge area. It would have been a absolute mess on the convention floor. Yeah,
no way it could have happened. They had. I noticed that when I went down to the convention floor where the other voice actors were, Sabbath had probably the most, fans in his lines, and they had them in that. You know how they zigzag that line back and forth like at the Disney World.
Right. Yeah.
And, I mean, they were packed in there like cattle in cattle cars. It was loud, no sound absorbing material. It would have been absolutely miserable. And of course, later one of the staffers came up there and said, "It's so much nicer being up here with Vic and his fans." One of the volunteers, and I said, "Oh, really? Why is that?" I said, "Well, where are you coming from?" He said, "Well, I was actually assigned to Sabbath, but I just can't take it anymore." Okay.
Oh.
Apparently the fans were not real jolly, and he wasn't. Again, that's what this guy said. I have no idea. I didn't see it.
Yeah. Who knows? Well, when you're going to the veritable salt mine that is Sabbath, I mean, I guess you're not supposed to bring your own salt.
It was very interesting though. I don't know exactly what I expected, but it was a very good time, very enlightening. I watched. I got the opportunity to watch Vic interact with his fans, and it was really touching to see the genuine love that the fans had for him and he for them. These people stood in line 2 to 3 hours to see him. No one was surly. Nobody was grumpy. They all walked up and were just as happy to be there. And he gave every single one of them very personal attention. Any number of fans walked up and asked if he would hug them. He would look over at me, and I, of course, would either give the thumbs up or the thumbs down based on my assessment of the legal exposure. No, I'm kidding. Actually, he hugged everyone.
Yeah.
But so the funny thing about all that is, I think that I found striking was you hear these reports of, he hugged me and I felt uncomfortable. You read these reports. These fans stood in line 2 to 3 hours before they got to him, and with full visibility. So I'm assuming his other shows, the other conventions he's been to have been similar. It's like, okay, you watched him, I guess, harass a couple of hundred other people in front of you over a 2-hour period, and yet you still walked up there.
Right.
I mean, the patent absurdity was really brought home. But it was a very interesting time. A number of people thanked me. I'll tell you, Nick, in 22 years practicing law, you've been doing it somewhat less, but you can appreciate this. This is the first time ever that strangers have walked up to me and thanked me for doing my job.
You weren't throwing up taekwondo blocks left and right?
Yeah. I was sitting there going, wow. But no, I mean, it was really just the amount of positive energy was really shocking to me. I mean, I don't know what I expected, but it was just very enlightening. I can understand now the depth of love that his fan base has for him, and I understand now the depth of concern he's got for them. I don't think it's in the man to disappoint them.
No, I don't think so either. But hey, I've got a very special super chat. It's from Christian W, and he says, "Lol, I was that volunteer that you mentioned earlier." And he said, "Savage,
hey, man,
Savage line
yourself,
sucked."
Bro. Okay, well.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Christian W. Fantastic. Okay, so I have a couple questions for you, Ty.
Sure.
One is, how many Dakamura pillows do you have to explain to your wife when you get home?
I don't know what a Dakamura pillow is.
Okay, sure. We'll go with that. Wink, wink.
No, really. I don't
Those are the full body anime girl pillows, or boy. I guess they could be boy.
Oh, yeah. No, hey man, I had my daughter Brittany with me, so.
Of course. Hi, hi, Brittany. Dakimakura. Oh, I pronounced it wrong. That's why. Dakimakura. Brittany, sometime.
Oh, Dakimakura. Yeah.
Sometime, Brittany, you need to come on the show.
I'll talk with Bree and see if we can set a meeting up.
Yeah, sounds great. So many people want to talk to you, so that would be fun. Sometime when it makes sense.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, tons of people want to see you on the show. I'm not kidding at all.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, cool.
We'll have to have that happen. So I do have a legit question, not a joke question.
Okay.
Are you aware of the events involving one Dominique Sky?
Yes, I am. We were alerted as to what happened. By the way, as an aside, the KamehaCon staff were top caliber. Really, were good guys. It was a genuine pleasure meeting them all face to face. But yeah, they came up and alerted us as to what happened after it had happened. But my understanding was she showed up with a guest pass, which are only given out by the convention owners. So obviously somebody on the inside gave her a guest pass. And the curious thing about that is, if you just wanted to show up to the convention to look around and see what's going on, you just buy a day pass for $35. No big deal. In fact, apparently she had a day pass. But you would want the guest pass to get in behind the scenes, access, a lot of areas where normal customers or visitors, whatever you call them, can't go to. So that was a little bit odd. But they intercepted her at the very beginning and basically just said, I believe they noticed her videotaping in a peculiar way. I don't know if that's a word anymore, but she was videoing with her phone, but doing it like down low, kind of like she was sneaking.
Sure.
And the odd thing is, had she just walked in and been, waving the phone around, nobody would have noticed because everybody was doing it. But anyway, whatever reason, it looked odd. So one of the owners asked her, where'd you get that guest pass? We don't recognize you, And she immediately did the whole, well, it sounds like you're harassing me or something to that effect. I'm sure that there's video from it, but yeah, it was obviously a false flag operation of some kind, very poorly conceived and poorly executed. Anyway, so they ran her out, and I think that was the end of it.
Shockingly, the negative interaction comes from one of the most prominent Kick Vic people. Of course.
Of course it does. Obviously, she came up there intending to make a big scene and try to somehow get a bunch of attention and act like a victim. And all I want to know is, what in the hell are these people doing with their lives? That this is the high point of their existence. I mean, you're going up there to disrupt a whole bunch of other people's fun, and for what? To what end?
Well, I mean, she has loved being the victim so far. I think
she's absolutely pathetic, in my opinion.
I think she's very mad that she doesn't have her own story to tell about Vic. That's what I think. But who am I? So she's trying to generate something so she can be important to the movement, right?
Yeah. Well, anyway, if that's the caliber of people we're talking about, I really feel sorry for her more than anything else. They never would have gotten to Vic. Security was very well designed. The security structure they had, there was no chance they'd had the opportunity unless you just walked out of the area and started screaming.
Now, are you saying that KamehaCon was a secure operation that had serious security and not just a bunch of clowns? Yeah. Weird.
No. It had a whole bunch of, as you'd expect for something this size, had a bunch of off-duty police and sheriff people plus others professional security personnel. No, it was a well-run convention. I've been to that convention center before at other things, and I really don't like it because it's a four-story deal, and those escalators are choke points for people.
Right.
But it really wasn't. At no point was it really difficult to get around, wasn't it? Yeah. I thought they did a great job. And anybody that's listening, go tomorrow if you're in the area. It was worthwhile. Had a good size. They filled up the bottom floor area where the dealers were. They filled that area up. It was actually quite a bit larger than I expected. I don't know exactly what I did expect, but it's a good-sized little thing.
Yeah. So I heard Vic signed autographs from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. with no breaks today.
No breaks. None. And it was actually later than 7. I'd say we probably knocked off about 7:40.
Wow.
He did something else that I thought was very classy. He signed various things for staff and volunteers and didn't charge them a dime.
That's awesome.
It really is. I mean, like I said, my interactions with him have convinced me long ago that he's a good guy. But to really see him with the fans and see the genuine regard he has for them, probably anybody can fake that for 30 minutes or an hour. Nobody can fake it for 10 hours.
No, that's eventually your veneer cracks around the 2-hour mark. Oh
man, I laughed. That's when it was over with. I looked at him and I said, "Man, I prefer my way of making a living."
Well, do you know? Is he signing tomorrow also?
Yeah, he'll be there tomorrow.
I hope he's got some ice for that wrist.
Yeah, I tell you, he's in pretty good shape. But yeah, and I'll tell you, some of the stories were just, I saw a father and a daughter. They drove from California, Sacramento. Yeah, they drove from Sacramento 3 days. there was a guy that flew from London just to see Vic. There were a half dozen people that came from places like Pittsburgh and Canada and that sort of thing just to see him. I mean, it was really amazing. Gosh, at least a half dozen people I can remember, if not more, that said this is the first time they've ever been to a convention. They came specifically to see him and to offer him support. And, I mean, the number of people that walked up and would tell him how much he's meant to them was really moving. I guess I'm just not a big enough fan of anything. Well, that's not true. If John Wayne were to somehow be resurrected, I'd probably,
Well, I'd show up with holy water and a cross to fix that right away.
Yeah, well, I might be that way with Chuck Norris. You never could tell. But I really, it's easy to sneer and say, well, those people are just nerds or whatever. No, he really means a lot to them. Meant a lot to them at various points in their lives. Several people describe very dark periods of their lives where, one guy was about, he lost his wife. He was a young guy too, man. He was probably in his late 20s, and lost his wife a couple of years ago. And something about Vic at some previous con or something, Vic helped him through a bad time. I mean, stuff like that. It was pretty cool too. One father came up with his son and daughter, who are now, the son's 6'1", and about 17 years old. The daughter looked probably 15 or 16. Anyway, he had a picture of them at a convention from 12 or 13 years ago when they were little bitty kids, with Vic.
Sure.
And so stuff like that. I mean, it was really just a very, I don't know, very wholesome, fun, positive thing, Can't wait to get back to Tyler where I can get back to my cynical life, just a little too much wholesome.
Yeah. You gotta go like wash that off with some sort of gasoline or whatever lawyers bathe with.
Well, as it happens, I'm working on a petition tomorrow for a case, so I'll have plenty of opportunity to get my mind back in the game.
Oh well, best of luck to you on that petition.
Well, it's just a random, petition. Nothing particularly important about it.
I'm sure not. That'd be weird if it was. I have a couple chat questions directly for you.
Sure.
If you don't mind. Blaine 20 says, do you mean to say that Vic's fans weren't rabid, unsavory troublemakers making the con unsafe? Amazing. It's more of a statement, I guess.
Yeah. Nope, not at all. They were normal folks.
Weird. Weird.
Yeah.
Another one this is from Cloudfire181. He says, hi, Ty. Nice meeting you again. I forgot to ask you face to face about the complaint letter by Ron Soye. Did you laugh your butt off like Nick did with Ron typing out that he was Mr./Mrs. Ronald Toye?
To be honest, I missed that clean. I was laughing so hard at the rest of it. So I actually first heard that when I was listening to your live stream, Nick.
Yeah, I missed it I missed it on the preliminary read through too, because it's one of those things when you read forums all day that you just kind of skip those. Yeah, your brain edits that out. But he finished up with I drove 3 hours to see you and Vic. So.
Well, appreciate you. All I did was just sit back and watch. There were a few people that walk up to me and say, "Can I have a picture with you or whatever?" And I'm going, "You sure you don't want the good-looking guy here?"
And I've got one more. A couple more. They keep coming in. Miss Meadow Kitty sent this earlier. Wrote this poem just for us. It says, as Nick pondered, nearly sleeping, suddenly there was a screeching, as if blue hairs kept weeping at my chamber door. 'Tis Ty serving papers and nothing more.
Brilliant. The Raven happens to be one of our favorite poems anyway, so bravo.
And then we've got one more from Lord Moore. He says, "Grats, Ty and Nick. You guys let Vic and his fans have this good day. Hang in there and hopefully Kick Vic finally leaves well enough alone. These sick people are desperate to cause some kind of trouble."
Well, I'm afraid they're going to get a dose of their own medicine pretty soon. And you know, the thing is, when they sit there and wonder, you know, why all these horrible, bad things are happening to them, they got nobody to blame but themselves. They've had every opportunity to de-escalate this, every opportunity to work this out, and so now they reap it.
Yeah, that'll be very funny. I don't know when the lawsuits are coming, but I can tell you that the week that I get the complaints, for however many there are, is going to be the funniest week on my channel in a while. Because once I get, I'm going to warn you, sir. Once I get my hands on those, they will be red. So dot your T's and cross your I's or whatever.
That'll be one of the reasons why I'm working tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
Sure.
Oh no.
Yeah. We just want to be sure everything's just right. I would not want to disappoint you, my friend.
Well, I doubt you will. I mean, what? I hope you don't. I hope you're not being rude. I hope you're not going to hit him on tax day. That would be awful. Awful of you.
You know, things are just going to have to develop the way they develop. Is Monday tax day? Huh.
Monday's tax day. So.
Well, I'm sure they've already filed their returns, so. I hope they have. I think they'll need that refund to pay their retainer to their attorney.
Hashtag tax day or hashtag what is it? Retainer. Tax day returner, retainer refund something.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah.
Tax refund retainer. That's what it was.
Yeah,
that's
tax
what
refund
it was.
retainer. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's...
usually in business disputes, you can at least see what the other side is fighting about. You know, in most business disputes, there is some kernel of a legitimate dispute. I mean, both sides have legitimate concerns and reasons that they're engaging in the dispute. These people are about to be engaging in a war for the dubious pleasure, honor, benefit of slagging some guy that never did anything wrong to him.
Right.
And who doesn't have any impact upon their lives other than just whatever they choose to do or say. And I mean, this is, in that respect, this will be the most pointless lawsuit I've ever engaged in.
Yeah,
but that
because
won't stop us from,
well, right. Usually you've got you're trying to get a dispute resolved. Like, that's the key, is you're trying to figure out, like, there's some question. There's some question of who's in the right. You're trying to resolve some legal issue. There's not clarity. There's a conflict. You need to engage a judge and a jury to resolve the factual scenario and then apply the law. This one, the facts are they're out there for the world to see. They're
undisputed. For all practical purposes, they're undisputed.
Even the behind the scenes facts, they're all written down because they're all by text, by email. Their evidence is there. It won't be, well, we didn't say that. That was the trouble that we used to have in fighting defamation suits, is you got to find some way to prove someone said something.
Yeah. And historically, people weren't stupid enough to put 400 times, to write 400 times, for example, defamatory comments in public and distribute them to billions of people.
Yeah. Who'd you defame him to? Literally everybody.
Literally everybody on the planet. Yeah. We did send one last round of takedown letters. Texas law requires us to do that before we file suit. However, it can be any time before, so we sent some out yesterday. One person in particular will receive about 400 pages because you have to identify every single defamatory statement and explain why it's defamatory and demand to take it down. That was one of the things that was delaying us so much. We just had all these, administrative things we had to do. So some of those folks will be getting those letters Monday, and then will probably be notified by their counsel, or at least courtesy copy will email to them. Hi there, we've sued you. If it were to happen,
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, this is without a doubt the most pointless litigation I've ever seen. I really would like to know what possible benefit that these people had. Well, that's the thing, right? They never thought it would go this far.
No.
They really thought they could destroy this man's life, and he just lay down and take it, and they would get what they want. And I think they're probably still in denial. Well, okay. Just remember that in the first round, we will not be hitting every target. Iago and Igor, for example, will not be hit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got to hit the people that you've got the most evidence against. And
right. Well, you got to crack it open somehow. If you tried to hit everybody at once that you could hit, you'd never get a suit filed because you'd be constantly adding to it. But
now wait a minute. So are you telling me you sent a 400-page letter to
yeah.
So some dummy out there got basically a ream of paper?
Yeah. Well, I sent you a picture. I sent you a picture of our conference table as we were sorting. That's what that picture I sent you of our conference table was. We were sorting the papers for that letter.
You sent me that picture, but I didn't know if I could share that picture.
Oh well, yeah. I don't care if you do now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, I will put that up on stream here in just a second for everybody
they're going to be
see.
modifying. There's several bills in the legislature to modify the Texas Defamation Mitigation Act because it unfortunately imposes some very bizarre requirements. The requirement to state every single defamatory statement and tell why it is defamatory is not very practical in this day and age of Twitter and imbeciles who tweet 400 times about their crush on Vic. I'm sorry, about their apparent crush on Vic, I should say.
Alleged crush.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta tell you, he's just not that into you, buddy.
I've got the picture. I've got the picture up on the stream right now, so people can see it. How embarrassing it is. Imagine getting that in the mail and saying, "By the way, each one of these is you getting destroyed in a lawsuit, you dummy."
Oh yeah. Well, the letter no. Normally when you send these letters out, you say, take this down, and we may still decide to sue you, and you play vague about it. The letter we sent out doesn't say anything of the sort. It says we're suing you. But
guys in the chat, this is one letter to one person. This is one person's record. This is not like several people that are getting organized here. This is one person.
Yeah, that's.
Oh,
I don't know.
boy.
It's gonna be interesting. I don't know, Nick. Do you think we can make a prima facie case out?
Oh, I think you might have a chance.
I know. I know that some have placed a lot of their hope in the Texas what we call the anti-slap statute, which will require us to make a prima facie case out. I feel pretty good about that, actually.
Yeah, I think you can manage. I think you'll barely scrape by with that. I think you may you may be able to show malice. I don't know, of course, if you'll be able to convince a Texas jury that that 400 tweets. And remember, guys, when this comes up, it's either going to be on a slide or it's going to be physical slides, like on big cardstock printed out, and they'll have to sit there through 400 statements. Are you going to convince them that this is malice? I don't know. I don't know how you would possibly do that.
I got to figure by about tweet number 183, somewhere in the 180s. I think the jury is probably going to reasonably infer malice and all those things.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Of course, we will also be asking for restraining orders as a matter of course. I want to hear the other side's argument for why this should be allowed to continue. What the strong policy argument is for them to be able to continue doing this during the pendency of the case. Of course, their counsel probably will throw that hearing because they want their clients to keep their mouths shut.
It'd be easier to take the L on that hearing, I think.
Oh, well, here's the thing, right? I mean, I hope they show up because I'll put their clients on the stand. That's the great thing about I've always been critical of the idea of fighting lawsuits by filing ridiculous motions and dozens and dozens of motions, because what we do is we just simply call their clients every single time and depose them for as long as the court will let us. And about the fourth time they got to explain to their client why their client was up on the stand getting chewed on by opposing counsel. While we were being clever, we thought we'd exhaust them. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is these aren't frivolous motions. You've got people consistently trying to destroy someone's career. It only makes sense to get a temporary, or to at least reasonably ask the court for a temporary injunction on their defamatory statements.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised if the court didn't grant a TRO. In Texas, you get a TRO, a temporary restraining order,
right? And
then within 2 weeks, the court has to have a hearing for a permanent injunction. Permanent in the sense that it lasts for the remainder of the case. And to get the TRO, that's an ex parte hearing. We go before the court while the other side isn't present, and the court grants it if the court's got to find irreparable harm, and there's not an adequate remedy, and I don't think we have a problem with either of that. There's also what is the huge economic interest in them being able to continue to tweet, 57 times a week or however many times that this guy's a predator. I mean, there's, seems unlikely that a court would grant the TRO, and then for the permanent injunction, we have a hearing, and if they want to show up, let me take a crack at their client on the stand. Fine,
Yeah. Please, yeah. Please show up. Okay, I've got a couple more chats just for you. Shield Lab says to Mr. Beard, "It was great to meet you today. I was the guy from Kansas City with the Captain Shield. The hugs between Vic and I were 100% consensual. So there you go."
Yes. And by the way, an impressive shield it was. Apparently, the guy he makes these Captain America shields. Looked to me like spun aluminum. I couldn't tell, but beautiful work, beautiful craftsmanship.
Fantastic. Reaver Barish says Ty better make sure his commas and apostrophes are properly used. Smiley face. # super chat cherry. Yeah, I'm going to be very hard on you if you have apostrophes all over the place. That's kind of a.
Oh yeah.
That was an artifact of one of the. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, spare the rod, spoil the child, I always say, Nick.
Yeah.
And I've always found you to be firm but fair. So,
Well, it was one of the artifact of one of the first lawsuit I covered on YouTube. The guy, he had apostrophes all over the place. It was really like to the point where it was actually distracting from the legal work. And I think it probably really harmed his chances. It was that bad.
Yeah. yeah, you know what happens is you tear through those things and you, because in most states pleadings don't have to be overly specific, they don't have to be overly detailed. You just it's just the first thing you do to get a suit filed. But yeah, it does kind of make you look bad if you get sloppy.
Oh, he kept it through every single motion response. It was disgusting.
Well, our pleadings will be a little more detailed than you would normally see because we do have to be able to make a prima facie case. And the Texas Supreme Court has said that, basically what you do is you take the specific pleadings and you assume them to be true. And if they are true, if they would make out a case, then you've satisfied the prima facie requirement. So we have to plead specifically. We can't just say, he defamed Vic. We have to say he made this tweet and this tweet defamed Vic. That type of thing.
Yeah, get your Iqbal standard in a row there, buddy.
Yeah, one of we're probably we're going to try not to overplead just because I want to. I prefer crisp pleadings myself. I like
right.
I like to lay it out clearly and really fairly short. But this is going to be a bit of a bit detailed. That is appropriate for a case like this. I mean, legally speaking, it's a complex case. Initially, you'll have 4 defendants. There'll be more added later. But you get 4 defendants and, literally scores of individual, counts of them doing this.
Right.
I just hope at the end of the day for them that they can say it was worth it.
Yeah. Well, I hope I hope they got what they wanted out of this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that hasn't been the case so far.
I've got a couple more chats for you before you have to run here. So let me hit these. Now let me tell you, this one I'm gonna follow up with an email to you because it's probably not something you'll be able to immediately answer on stream. But this is from Bo Stoker. He's asking if you, Ty, have any recommendations for a sympathetic attorney. And the situation is that he's working with a military medic, it sounds like, who is being charged for the wrongful death of an enemy combatant. And is being is having trouble getting access to counsel. So I'm gonna try and get some details from him and forward them to you. I don't know if you've got anyone in your network who does UCMJ stuff.
I do actually. Believe it or not, Amazon Prime. She was married to someone in the Army, and so she went all over the world with him. Plus, I have a lieutenant colonel retired from the JAG Corps who's a good friend of mine. So, yeah. Okay. Email that to me. I'll do what I can. That sounds like a horrible miscarriage of justice.
Yep, and Bo, get that email to me. It is rekietalaw@rekieta.org. That is in the description of this video, buddy, if you need the spelling. But rekietalaw@rekieta.org. Send that email to me, and we'll get it passed along. Ty and I will reach out to our networks and see if we can get some help for this guy. Marsupial Gamer asks if you, Ty, know what's going on with that umbrella guy. There's a certain person out of Houston who has been going after, and some other people who's been going after Tug's child, threatening to call CPS and stuff like that because he had the audacity to start his own comic on a Kickstarter like platform.
Right now I'm only knowledgeable at the surface level. My understanding was that someone that I think you refer to as the blue-haired whale or something.
Yeah, the blue-haired orca.
Yeah, cleverly determined who Tug's wife was and threatened, at least, we don't know if they actually threatened to call CPS on him for child abuse. Unfortunately, idiots picked someone who is not Tug's wife.
Oh my
and apparently terrorized. Again, this is all third hand, so take it for what it's worth. But apparently terrorized this poor lady. And I mean, Those
Wow.
kind of people ought to be taken out and flayed alive.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And not in Minecraft, y'all.
Kidding? No. I tell you what, start going after people's children, morons. And one of you is going to wind up being the victim of extrajudicial remedies.
Yeah.
Especially if you live in a state like Texas. Because I can guarantee you, if I was on a jury and someone popped a cap in you, I'd no-bill them if I was on a grand jury.
That's what jury nullification is for.
That kind of crap is outrageous.
Yep.
And just saying.
Yeah. Okay. Automata says,
Anyway, my heart goes out to Tug. I wish him all the best. I hope that,
Well, and Tug knows if he needs any help, he can talk to me, and I'd be glad to help him in any way possible. I believe he also has counsel retained for another matter that I'm sure would love to go after a harassing idiot. So we'll see.
Anyway, but that's all I know at this point. So.
Sure. Automata says, but I heard that Vic would never waste time or money paying a lawyer to even read hundreds of tweets. That would just be silly. Did I get more bad information from the law firm of Twit and Yes, you did.
Yes, I believe their advice was,
Mithrin Emrys asks, he says to make sure that the TRO requests include not allowing for liking and retweeting other people's defamatory statements. That's been one thing that Toye has been very fond of lately is liking and retweeting other people's bad statements.
Oh, I'll just put a very broad statement and then drag his ass back in and let him explain to the judge why somehow that technically didn't violate the judge's order.
Right.
No disparaging comments. Okay. You want to say that liking and retweeting aren't disparaging comments? Let's go back in and talk to the court.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Any opportunity to drag these idiots into court costs them a fortune and then make them explain their behavior to a judge is just gravy.
Oh yeah. A North Texas judge. But thank you for the advice. That is a very astute point, all kidding aside.
Yeah. It definitely is. Miss Meadowkitty asks if either me or you would be interested in unit patches from where they're stationed. And then it says the Lone Star shines brightest over Ty and Nick's firms. I would love one.
Sure. Me too.
So yeah, very much. Let's see. I'll answer that one later. I'll answer that one later. That one later. Yeah. All right. I think that's the. Louis Tomato says, "Hey Ty, flew from Cali for Vic. My first con ever. I love Texas. So far, a beautiful state." So there you go.
Well, I wish you could come when it wasn't 40 degrees in April, but Texas weather is a tad unpredictable.
Yeah, it very much is. I've driven down for a family reunion, and it was like 70 the day before, and then of course the day we were driving it was 31 with rain, and so we had this lovely freezing rain all through Fort Worth.
You know what it is, don't you? The country is divided into geographical zones, right? If you're looking at a certain kind of map of the United States, you can see 4 or 5 more or less vertical bands. These are various geographical zones. Mm-hmm. Well, 4 of those zones converge in Texas. Yeah. and so that's why the weather is so wild. Is you've got there's something about the way the weather patterns work and stuff. But yeah, saw that when I was in junior high taking science, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a weird state for sure, and the weather is not predictable. Okay, a couple questions before, and then I'm going to kick you off here because I got to get to reading this other case too.
Sure.
Plus you've got to drive and all that stuff.
Yeah, well,
This one is from Phoenix. Oh, wait, no. I'll read that one in a minute. Mythos Irving sent $50 and says, however legally you can do this, can you give this donation to Ty for Vic? So can I get some requests for this? Can I donate? I can't donate to the GoFundMe because it's potentially against their TOS, but can I donate to the fund if I send like just a direct check or whatever to the office? Okay.
Sure. Yeah, just let Ellie know what it is.
Yeah.
We'll drop it into the Alta account along with the funds.
Guys, I will do that, but please don't have me do that all the time. It gets really tedious. Yeah. I would much prefer if you send your donation straight to the GoFundMe. But I will do that. I can't send it through the GoFundMe because of how their policy works out. Okay, good day, Mr. Beard. This is from the Big Red Bear. I'm a huge fan of American and Russian armor. Do you think they're going to upgrade the Abrams, or do you think they're going to replace the design?
No, they'll upgrade it.
And then he says,
the Army is obsessed with the idea of building 35-ton main battle tanks with Abrams level of protection, and you can't get there from here. The physics don't support it, and there simply isn't anything better. The Abrams is a modular design, so it'll be like the BB-2. There'll be people whose grandfathers drove the same tank they're crewing eventually. So, my opinion.
There you go. Let's see. There's any more. Mythos Irving says, #fear the beard. We love you, Ty and Vic. You're one of us internet people now. We embrace you. So there you go. You are embraced, Ty. You are embraced.
Thank you.
All right, let me make sure there's no final ones, and then I'll let you go.
All right.
Let's see. Coolman229 says, I met Vic at KamehaCon. He was incredibly nice. I managed to get in early and saw him in the morning, but sadly I missed Mr. Beard. Ty, I really want to meet you, but I ended up getting busy with other stuff at the con. So next time, I suppose.
Next time.
The Texan83 says, so Ty, how's the Yamato going?
There must be 15,000 little bitty tiny parts on that model kit. It will be a while.
Yeah, it looked very detailed.
But it's a beautifully engineered kit. I mean, it's, but yeah. Maybe a good while before I get around to that.
He says, also, how safe would I be getting Shane a bite of his favorite snack that the suit is filed on Monday? Well, I think we indicated pretty strongly that that's probably like outside of act of God probably happening, but
Shane popping off about that now? I mean,
Shane
really?
Shane has insisted that if the lawsuits weren't filed today, that everything was all made up. So
today was the some kind of extra-dimensional vortex or something?
It's because I made a joke a long time ago that it would be funny to serve, some of these people at the convention with like an oversized envelope the size of a publisher's clearinghouse check or whatever.
Yeah.
And so because I made that joke, he was saying I was making a definitive statement that they would be filed on Saturday, even though obviously I'm not in charge of any of that.
And of course, we wouldn't at all want to do a courtesy to KamehaCon and let them have their convention peaceably.
No, I mean, why would you want that?
Why would you, do them a basic business courtesy, if nothing else, out of respect and regard for taking a chance and doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's crazy talk, Nick.
Yeah, well. On the internet, well, with the quality of thinking that Shane is providing, that may be crazy talk. Blaine20 is asking if you know who the Twitter account Raised by Wolves was, and can you say if so? I don't know if you're even familiar with that account.
No, No.
Okay,
No.
well, at
Oh,
a
I did have one guy today ask me when I was going to send my third tweet.
yeah, well, this was an account that popped up and was saying extremely inflammatory and defamatory things about Vic, about me, about you, but it got nuked.
Oh.
It got nuked the other day. Rumor and speculation say it was either a certain orca from Houston or it was Shane. I don't know, maybe his chair took over the account or something like that. But we don't know. I don't know who it was definitively, and it got nuked, so it's hard to say.
You know, seriously, how completely batshit crazy do you have to be sticking your head in the middle of into this blender for no good reason like that? I mean,
well,
you know,
yeah, that's the weird thing about Shane. Is that he seems to want to get sued or be included, like it'll give his life meaning.
Yeah, well, probably should talk to someone who's been sued before you decide that's really what you want to spend the next year of your life messing with.
Well, it might be funny if there was some cause of action that could bring him to Denton County, because last I checked, he owes Denton County money for a bad check from 2000. So he's got an outstanding fee of $500 that was assessed, I believe, in the year 2000 to Denton County. So might be funny to get him into a courthouse in there. do Denton County a favor.
Call the sheriff. Have him serve a warrant on him.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do one more and then I'll let you go, buddy, because
okay, man.
We'll get you back to driving and then I'll get to this lawsuit.
Sure.
Insert clever name here says, Ty, have you seen the original manga of Yamato that just came out? I just started reading and it's pretty cool. So there's a
manga is written.
Yeah, it's like a graphic novel.
No, I haven't, but I bet it's pretty cool. I'll have to hunt that down.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Manga, it's also read backwards, I guess. Like you don't read it left to right. You read right to left.
Yeah, well, I don't read Japanese anyway, so I'll just have to look at the pretty pictures.
Well, they're in English. They're translated to English.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah.
Well,
the only comic books I ever read were Sergeant Rock. So yeah.
Well, there you go. All right, man. Well, huge thanks for calling in. Thank you, of course, for going to KamehaCon and supporting Vic. Obviously,
it really was very enlightening. I'm glad I did it. I really went more out of curiosity and I guess maybe moral support, but it was very very cool to meet the fans. I mean, to see the kind of folks that that Vic deals with, and they were, like I said, they were just normal folks. People you can see on your neighborhood street,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. One final, just a comment. TLJ Screwjob asks if your plus 30 beard of charisma have had anything to do with the state senator Brian Hughes joining the firm.
Well, you ought to ask Brian about that. I wouldn't know.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you get back to driving. Thank you, of course, for calling in, and drive safe the rest of the way home.
As always, my friend, we'll talk to you later.
Sounds good, buddy. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. That was, of course, the beard himself. Very grateful for him calling in. Now, someone asked me about Monica. So let's hit this last point on KamehaCon. This is a report of the Monica Rial alternative signing, okay? And then we will talk Richard Meyer. So, full report is that 153 people total went into the shop. Now, this is people going into the shop. We don't know how many people were there to see the signers specifically, although I've got an estimate. Hold on. 153 people total went to the shop. Now, there was like a Pokemon tournament or Pokemon Go players coming in as well. So it's not like everybody going into the shop was going to see them there. I know there was a card game tournament that was going on like during part of the signing, and then there was a card game tournament that happened right after the signing. But the estimate I've got is about 75 to 90 people, somewhere in there, going to see Monica specifically. So, I mean, success? You know, I guess. There we go. I will encourage you guys to go and just look at any picture of Vic Mignogna's line. Any picture of Vic Mignogna's line, and you can tell me if getting over the course of 6 hours, having 75 to 90 people come through is a good turnout. It's more than I expected. Full honesty, congratulations. I thought maybe she'd have 20, maybe, but 75 to 90, not bad. No, of course, no indication how many were from KamehaCon, no indication of how many people paid, right? Because she said if they had a KamehaCon badge, the autograph was free. Who knows? Who knows? But that's there. So hats off to the comic shop crew. To the comic shop, that was very courteous of you to give them a venue. Much props. Ooh. All right. Who is ready? Who is ready to get into Meyer versus Waid? Now, if you are, let me tell you this, if you are a Vic fan and a Vic supporter and you think the Vic drama is very interesting and new and novel and all of that stuff, don't leave. Don't leave the show, because there's one reason that I know very specifically about tortious interference with contract in Texas, and it is Richard Meyer's case, which started in October of last year. The incident itself started in, I think, March of last year. My channel was very, very small at the time, but I reached out to your boy Zach. I invited him on the show. He very courteously came and talked to me live. And then he retweeted my video that I made the next day. It gave a huge boost to my channel at the time. It was great. It brought me kind of into the fold of the comics community as well. It was the first comic video I had done, and many more comic videos and many more live streams and topics came from this lawsuit. And this lawsuit is about tortious interference in Texas. And it's amazing. It's an amazing lawsuit because it's the exact same thing. Someone who thought that their perception of virtue outweighed the law and that they could just go and try to ruin a man with lies, with threats, and with going after his income. They thought they could ruin a man that way and no one would care because they live on Twitter. If you want to know the origin of the shirt, this is reality, not Twitter, you giant idiot. That came from this lawsuit and me ranting about how stupid these people were, because when I said back in March or whenever this happened, March or April, May, somewhere in there of last year, a year ago, guys, when I said, you know what? This guy probably has a case for tortious interference. A whole bunch of dummies, including a fat orca, including several other people who you will notice from the Kick Vic side, all said, no way, only a drunk, blackface internet lawyer would even dare think that there was a legal course of action here, right? It was the same exact story as today with the same people. How embarrassing to lose to a drunk internet lawyer twice, you dumb piles of garbage. How sad is your life that you are losing to a drunk internet lawyer that you routinely try and degrade because you're so stupid that you think that your little insults make you correct, but they don't. They don't. Here's the trick. Let me give you a pro tip. If you're anti-Comicsgate or Kick Vic and you're just tuning in for the first time with a ramrod right up your anus, whatever it is, listen. Be correct and season your correctness with insults. Don't rely on the insults to try and make you correct. Because when you're wrong, you fat, ugly, disgusting whale, when you're wrong, it's really, really pathetic. All right. That said, you so drunk. I wish. No, I've only had one tiny thing of vodka. Don't you dare call me drunk yet. That's coming. All right. Let's see how they're doing. Now, they have maintained that this is a bogus cause of action, that there's no way Mark Waid could lose this case. Because, now see if this sounds familiar to you. The publisher, Antarctic Press, came out and said that no, we didn't have tortious interference. No, we just decided. We made a decision. Please stop harassing us on Twitter. That was in the brackets. You guys have to read between the lines on tweets from businesses who have this. You've got people from Mark Waid brigading this small press just constantly, and this is going to come through in what we read, I'm guessing. It's constantly barraging these guys saying, how dare you support this Nazi, racist, blah, 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 blah. Richard Meyer, he called a woman a cum dumpster once. How could you possibly support him? And they came out and how dare you say Mark Waid called you and ruined the contract? So they come out with a statement that says, no. You know what? We had to make the decision. And just in parentheses, all you could see begging, please stop harassing us. You gotta read between the lines. Read between the lines on this stuff. So when you see the tweets from KamehaCon, and I say, it actually doesn't matter what KamehaCon says about, in a subsequent tweet about people interfering with contracts, that's because it doesn't matter. Because oftentimes there's a reason that they're engaging in this activity, and it doesn't change the facts of what actually happened. So, without further ado, I'm going to read Mithran Emrys's comment here. And then we're going to read Meyer versus Waid, Meyer's response. And this is a long response. We're going to get through as much of it as we can tonight. And there may be a subsequent video summarizing there will be a subsequent video summarizing all of this. But we're going to read some fun stuff tonight. Okay. Mithran's comment says, so 100 people at $20 per autograph would be $2,000. Security costs would be how much? It depends on how many officers they hired, right? But if you're hiring an off-duty overtime rate for 6 hours at $80 an hour, $500, $500, say 25 per hour per officer, 2 officers for just 5 hours. I'd say their off-duty rate is probably their overtime rate, if I had to guess. I don't know for sure. Depends on if they're uniformed or not and all that stuff. 2 officers for 5 hours. She probably made less than guaranteed minimum. Just saying. Oh, almost definitely. I'd imagine her guaranteed minimum was somewhere near $4,000 or $5,000. If I had to guess, based on just random info that I know, I'd guess $4,000 to $5,000 as a guaranteed minimum. And yeah, I bet she made less. I can almost guarantee it. But whatever, for the fans. She would have met more fans just being at KamehaCon. Tons of people there that probably wanted to see her. But okay. Then we've got Suppa Sandwich says, this is at Goku the dog's owner. Thank you for recommending the Glenlivet on your stream. New favorite whiskey buddy. Will you take a drink with me, Senpai? Cheers. Yeah. I'm drinking 10-year Talisker. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. So I have, let me switch to this. We will enter this response. Perfect. Should be able to see that just fine. This is, look at this, guys. There are 5 different documents here. We'll make sure all of them are centered. We're not going to go through all 5. We're not going to go through all 5 tonight. Okay, here we go. This is the response. Response to motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction filed by Richard Meyer. Guys, get ready for some classic lawsplaining, because this is how the channel started, and this is how it will always continue. We will always go back to documents when we can. Always, because the documents are what tell us the story. Plaintiff Richard Meyer files this response to the motion to dismiss for lack of personal jurisdiction. Now, I have read this first intro paragraph, and it is brutal. So let's hit it. At its base, this is a tortious interference case in which Waid intentionally interfered with a contract between 2 persons in Texas, and that was performable in Texas. Waid did so by initiating a phone call to San Antonio to one of the parties to the contract, soliciting a return phone call. He left a message at Antarctic Press, asked them to call him back. They did. And then encouraging that party to breach the contract. 2 weeks later, Waid traveled to Texas, and he went straight to Houston and publicly defamed Meyer, a Texas resident, at a Houston comic book convention. This case belongs in Texas. Ooh. 5-word sentences. 5-word sentences are beautiful, they're poignant, and they're persuasive. Look at that. This case belongs in Texas. Now, the background on this is a motion to dismiss from the Texas court for lack of jurisdiction over Mark Waid and over this matter. Lack of personal jurisdiction over Mark Waid. The argument is that Mark Waid did not try to do anything in Texas. He's in California. He was just having his man-baby tantrum out in California by himself. The counter argument is, of course, that he reached into the state of Texas to interfere with 2 Texas residents on a contract that was performable in the state of Texas. So, of course, there's jurisdiction in Texas. Of course there is. But this case belongs in Texas. If you're learning to write legally, that sentence better be in your introduction. Tell the court, of course this case belongs here. Of course. Waid's actions within this state, coupled with his actions directed towards Texas through his tortious interference with Meyer's contract with a Texas publisher. Oh, and say Texas as much as possible. ASMR me some Texas, baby. Bring me that Texas, baby. With a Texas publisher, establish that Waid should have every expectation to be hailed into Texas court to answer for his actions, and that is the standard. Would a reasonable person have a reasonable expectation to be hailed into the forum to answer for their actions? Yes. Which Houston Comic Book Con? I don't remember which one. It doesn't really matter. Okay. Supporting evidence. In addition to plaintiff's original complaint and the other pleadings on file, Meyer relies on the following evidence attached to this response to the motion to dismiss. Exhibit A, exposition of Yoming Dunn. Yoming Dunn is one of the brothers that owns Antarctic Press. Antarctic Press is owned by 2 brothers who are also, I believe, doctors. It has been their hobby business for a very long time, and they're a small publisher of independent comic books. Deposition of Yoming Dunn with the following attached exhibits. Antarctic Press Twitter announcement regarding Jawbreakers. March 12th, 2018, email correspondence regarding Antarctic Press interest in publishing Jawbreakers. May 9th, 2018, email correspondence between Brian Denham and Richard Meyer regarding potential boycott of the book. Email correspondence between Antarctic Press personnel regarding response to Jawbreakers inquiries. And May 11th, 2019, email correspondence between Yeoming Dunn and Antarctic Press contributor. Phoenix, Aram, yes, I will get through all of them. We will still do all of the super chats. And I'll take a break in a little bit to hit some of those early chats. Don't worry. Exhibit B, deposition of Mark Waid with the following attached exhibits. Transcript of Mark Waid, May 26, 2019, panel discussion regarding Jawbreakers that May 26, 2019, panel discussion. That must be something else. May 11th, 2018, Facebook post by Mark Waid regarding call to Antarctic Press. So it was in May, not in March. My apologies for not remembering which M month it was. And Exhibit 7, text messages between Mark Waid and Yeoming Dunn. That's going to be ugly, isn't it? And then Exhibit C, the deposition of Ben Dunn with the following attached exhibit. Excerpt from No Enemy But Peace, Richard Meyer, Antarctic Press and Jawbreakers, article by Rich Johnston. Rich Johnston, the coward, we'll call him, from Bleeding Cool, dated May 13th, 2018. And then Exhibit D, Mark Waid response to interrogatory number 1. Jurisdictional factual summary. So this is a summary. Oh yeah, those 2019 dates are probably 2018. So apologies for, there's a typo, but that, before anybody freaks out about that in a lawsuit is called a scrivener's error. Getting a date wrong or a year wrong when it is clearly impossible is not going to be a problem for anybody, okay? Waid intentionally interfered with a contract between Texans to be performed in Texas. So as described in plaintiff's original complaint, Meyer is a lifelong fan of comic books and particularly superhero comic books. After creating a successful YouTube channel reviewing comic books authored by Waid and others, Meyer faced criticism that he had never written or drawn a comic book of his own. In April 2018, Meyer publicly announced that he was publishing his own book, Jawbreakers Lost Souls, a story about 5 ex-superheroes that came out of retirement to protect a giant mutant ape from being exploited by a warlord. By that time, Meyer had already begun discussions with Antarctic Press, an independent comic book publisher located in San Antonio, Texas. By April 29th, 2019, AP had agreed to publish Jawbreakers, and on May 9th, 2018, Antarctic Press publicly announced it was publishing Jawbreakers via Twitter, saying, "It's official, we're publishing Jawbreakers in September." Even before making that announcement, AP was aware of negative reaction within portions of the comic book world to Meyer's book. This is not a critical, but an important part of the claim. Because part of the claim is that some people are saying that, Mark Waid is just letting them know why there's a negative reception or that there's a negative reception. He's just letting them know. That's not going to help him here. And that some stores even discuss plans to boycott that book. Criticism of AP's decision continued on social media throughout May 10th, 2018 into May 11th, 2018. Okay, here we go. Let's read this footnote. In his motion to dismiss and his declaration, Waid recounts at length statements allegedly made by Meyer in 2017 that have no bearing on whether Waid is subject to this court's jurisdiction. There will be an appropriate time to respond to those allegations, but that time has not yet come, and Meyer will not burden the court with a tit-for-tat response to Waid's invective. Rather, this response will focus on the facts, nice slight there, showing that Waid's contacts with Texas are more than sufficient for this court to exercise jurisdiction over Waid. So Waid brought up a bunch of irrelevant things in his motion for jurisdiction. He's obviously trying to taint and prejudice the court against Meyer with those things that are not relevant to the jurisdictional argument. They are potentially relevant to the overall argument, although I would say they're not. But that is where we go from here. Mark Waid acknowledged the negative reaction by some in the comic book industry to AP's announcement In a Facebook post on May 11th, says 2019, but they mean 2018. And it says, I have a call to Antarctic Press. Until I hear back, I'm hesitantly willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that they don't really understand who or what they're getting into business with. This guy is just forecasting his intent to interfere with his contract, which, though it would seem a stretch, is a possibility, which obviously was not true. If I do hear back, I'll report in. Curious as to how they feel about publishing creators whose marketing strategy is to allegedly, encourage their fans to threaten employees of stores. That's a defamatory statement. Meyer never encouraged fans to threaten employees of stores and or harass and one-star review bomb stores. Not aware of him ever threatening to do that either, but we'll see. That don't order their product. Waid posted that message after calling AP's landline telephone number in San Antonio, Texas, and informed an AP employee, as Waid describes it, that, quote, he wished to speak to the owner so that Waid could make sure the owner, quote, understood why the backlash was happening. AP's office manager conveyed Waid's message to Yeoming Dunn, AP's owner, at 12:25 p.m., stating that Waid was, quote, looking to warn us of how badly our association with Rich Meyer might be for us, and had, quote, mentioned death threats among other things. Not trying to scare them at all or intimidate them. At that time, Dunn understood that AP had contractually committed to publishing Jawbreakers, and that is from Dunn's deposition. That's really embarrassing for Waid. Because everybody said, oh, tweets aren't good, contract, blah, blah, blah. He had understood it to be a contract. That means there was a contract, baby. If Meyer and that guy agreed that there was a contractual obligation, then there was. Texas enforces oral contracts. You do not need a written piece of paper unless you're within statute of frauds. This is not, and that's very high level. We won't get into that tonight. Frustrated with being caught in the middle between Wade's followers and Meyer's supporters, Dunn sent a lengthy screed at 4:38 p.m. to one of AP's contributors, complaining that AP was being bullied into not publishing Meyer's comic book because of past statements and political viewpoints of an author that were unrelated to the book being published. In that missive, Dunn makes clear that AP had not decided to repudiate its contractual commitment and cancel Meyer's book at that time. This is important because, as I've covered in the other videos, Knox v. Taylor, a Texas appellate court decision, holds, I believe it's appellate court, not Supreme Court, doesn't matter. It holds that up until the moment a contract is canceled, it doesn't matter even if they had intended to cancel it, up until the moment it is canceled. Then, up until that point, you can still tortiously interfere with a contract. Because you never know what straw breaks the camel's back. So there you go. That's why that's important. A mere 10 minutes after sending that email, Dunn returned Wade's telephone call. The call was not brief, but lasted 27 minutes. Immediately after the call, Ben, who was with his brother, Yeoming, at the time, described him as visibly upset and that Ben can tell that whatever transpired was not something positive. Before that call, Ben understood that AP remained committed to publishing Meyer's book. They got that in deposition. Guys, these are, I can't express enough, these are nails in the coffin of Wade's case. 36 minutes after the call between Dunn and Waid ended, Dunn sent a text message to Wade's phone stating, I've decided to drop the project, and that a statement on Facebook would be forthcoming. Later that same evening, Dunn instructed AP personnel to announce on Facebook that AP would not be publishing Jawbreakers. Waid was ebullient when he responded to Dunn's text concerning AP's cancellation of its agreement with Meyer to publish Jawbreakers, saying, quote, you are a very good man. Text or DM me when the statement goes up and I will recirculate it if you'd like. Again, this feeds back into Wade's alleged quid pro quo that he was going to go ahead and publish a story or an interview with the Dunns if they decided to go ahead and just choose the right thing to do here. After Dunn confirmed that cancellation was public, Waid again praised Dunn and thanked Dunn for doing so. Quote, good man, thank you, and stay in touch. Footnotes here. Among other comments, Dunn remarked that in the first paragraph about AP's options, quote, "We could not release this book even though we are contractually obligated to do so and succumb to social media pressure, which feels a bit like we are being bullied to not release the book. Or we could publish the book and continue to get the wrath we have undergone these past days from a multitude of sources." Just 2 days later, Waid was quoted at length in an article where he described his phone call with Dunn. Therefore, Waid professed to have met AP's owner and stated that the owner, quote, "seemed like a good guy," and later described AP's owner as someone Waid, quote, "knew to be a good guy." Waid also recounted the part of the impetus for his call was as follows, quote, "I was surprised that the publisher would want to get in bed with someone whose idea of marketing was to ask his fans to put together a list of stores that chose not to carry his book and then circulate that list along with full names, first and last of the store's employees and their phone numbers for ease of targeting and harassment. That is, of course, a defamatory statement. That is a defamatory statement that speaks directly to the tortious interference." Over the next few days, Waid and Dunn continued to communicate via text message. Waid asked, holding up, "Why in the world is Meyer claiming that you called him in tears?" Uh-oh. When Dunn declined to discuss the matter, Waid responded, "I don't blame you. You haven't turned on me, I hope." Again, Dunn declined to dismiss the matter with Waid. Oh, how embarrassing is this? In response, oh no, we've got actual text messages here. In response, Waid pleaded with Dunn to confirm that Waid had not bullied Dunn into withdrawing support for Jawbreakers. Did Waid know what he did? Oh, that's unfortunate for him, isn't it? Well, I understand that, and you know that I'm here to help. You're not even getting any blame anymore. The story is that you called in tears to confess and that I bullied you. I think that's 100% fiction. You said at the time you didn't feel I was bullying you or harassing you in the least, correct? Ben? When Dunn refused to provide the validation, Waid begged for it. He begged. He begged like a stupid baby. Ben, that is all I will ever ask of you, and it stays between us. Oh, you giant pimple pustule. What were you thinking? Sending these messages, you idiot. Do you now think that I bullied you? You said I didn't bully you. Do you still feel that way? It weighs on me. Why does it weigh on you, Waid? Why does it weigh on you, you liar? You fat liar? Oh, why does it weigh on you, you coward? Because everything you are saying to me indicates that you weren't straight with me when you confirmed you didn't feel bullied by me at all and that we were good. Are you changing your story to say that I bullied you, or were you straight with me on Friday? That's all I need to know. Then I'll leave you alone. I'll lose your number. You never need to hear from me again. Just tell me I didn't intentionally bully you or hurt you, because if I did, I need to know. No, you need it in writing, you lying coward. You lying, disgusting human being. This is what you get, Waid. This is what you get. And I hope your stupid DC attorney eats these text messages. Eat some, because both of you are stupid, both of you suck, and you both know it. Dunn refused. Dunn refused. Waid defames Meyer in Houston, Texas. Less than 2 weeks later, Waid traveled to Houston, Texas to attend a book signing event at a comic book store and a comic book convention between May 22nd and 27th, 2018. Now, importantly, Waid left this out of his jurisdictional argument, and after being embarrassed by a certain drunk lawyer on YouTube, had to issue a corrected statement refreshing his recollection. You liars. Waid and Zaid, you disgusting liars. Trying to weasel your way out of the fact that he was specifically doing business in Texas and specifically issuing defamatory statements in Texas that were recorded on YouTube. You disgusting liars. Oh, you people make me sick. You make me sick. You give lawyers a bad name. On May 26th, Waid participated in a question and answer session with a panel of comic book creators. During that session, Waid was asked about Meyer and AP. Waid spoke for approximately 5 minutes, recounting his version of the events leading to AP's decision to drop Jawbreakers. After confirming that he was talking about Meyer and his artist collaborator, Waid made the following public statements while in Houston. These guys created they did their comic, great, awesome. There was a bunch of stores that decided they weren't going to carry the comic, so these guys made a list of those stores and their phone numbers and the names, first and last, of all their employees. False, 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 you liar. Mithrin Emrys says, so the bully texts his victim and asks for confirmation that he didn't bully his victim. Not classic bully behavior at all that rises to the level of culpability. Holy crap. And holy crap is what Waid has got to be saying after this is filed. And Zaid. They have to know they're done. They have to know. And with the idea that, oh no, don't call them and harass them. We're not telling you to do that at all. But here's their phone numbers and their first and last names of all their employees. Well, come on. Again, not true. It was the list of the store's phone numbers and the name of the store's management that was on Google. Not all of their employees, not first and last names and phone numbers of their employees, phone numbers of the store. So there was a publisher here in Texas, apparently he knew then, who was going to publish their comic for, after it had been kickstarted, they were going to publish it for comic stores. These are indefensible human beings. They harass women, they harass minorities, they harass LGBTQ people. They're full of hate. Meyer, for the record, for people who don't know, has 3 non-white children. Really definitely harassing women and minorities constantly. What are you doing? But I knew the publisher, and I don't think he was aware of why all of a sudden it was this gigantic groundswell of hate towards him. So I said, before I burn this place to the ground, let me just call him and find out what's going on. I know the guy, and I want to make sure he knows why the hordes of hell are descending on him right now. Again, look at this. This is the worst. This is the worst stuff you can have come out. Guys, stop talking to me about Andy and failure. I will address it later. A transcript of the recording was also attached as Exhibit 2 to Waid's deposition. Waid confirmed that the transcript was accurate. When asked if Waid intended that comment to suggest that Meyer was directing his followers to harass the stores and their employees, Waid responded, absolutely. What an idiot. He had a chance in deposition to change it, and he didn't. Dorby says this couldn't be more damning. 30 minutes either side of Waid's call, AP is documented as switching from going to publish to not publishing Meyer, and then messages Waid, not Meyer. He's done. Absolutely done. Mithrin Emrys says at this point, Zaid should have one word for his client: settlement. He should have had it from the get-go, but he definitely should have it now. However, I think Super Lawyer might feel he can still pull this off. Said might need to consider another word regarding Zaid: malpractice. Well, we'll have to see. Next. Thus, Waid, who is professed to have previously known Dunn, not only traveled to Texas, where he applauded his recent interference with the Meyer AP contract, admitting in the process that AP was Texas-based, at the same time republishing defamatory statements about Meyer. Argument and authorities. Legal standard: purposeful actions directed at a forum. Prima facie only. Conflicts resolved in plaintiff's favor. While it is true that, quote, the plaintiff bears the burden of establishing jurisdiction, the plaintiff, quote, need only present prima facie evidence of jurisdiction to meet its burden. When evaluating such evidence, the court must accept the plaintiff's uncontroverted allegations as true and resolve any conflicts between evidence submitted by the parties in favor of the plaintiff. To establish specific personal jurisdiction, the plaintiff must show that the defendant purposely directed activity at a resident of the forum and the defendant's contact with Texas arise from or are directly related to the cause of action, which of course they are. Single phone call will suffice. The Fifth Circuit has long held that minimum contact with the forum state can be established through a single phone call. See Brown versus Flowers Industry Incorporated. Holding defamatory statements made during single telephone call was sufficient to support personal jurisdiction. And footnote here, the Fifth Circuit repeatedly cites Brown versus Flowers Industries for this proposition. And then he lists some citations. In fact, the Fifth Circuit recently upheld jurisdiction based on a single phone call that included Texas citizens, even though the call was not initiated by the defendant. There, the defendant participated in a conference call initiated by a third party during which the plaintiff asserted one of the defendants made fraudulent statements concerning his auction company. In rejecting the defendant's claim that a single phone call was insufficient to confer jurisdiction, the court stated, quote, although Schnate, the defendant, did not initiate the conference call to Twa in Texas, Schnate was not a passive participant on the call. Instead, he was the key negotiating party who made representations regarding his business in a call to Texas. It is that intentional conduct on the part of Schnate that led to this litigation. The defendant should have reasonably anticipated being hailed into Texas court as a result of reaching out to Texas via phone in order to garner business and make specific representations. Thus, the touchstone for personal jurisdiction is whether the cause of action arises from the defendant's contact with the forum state. So there you go. There you go. Wade's intentional actions directed toward Texas gave rise to Meyer's tortious interference with contract claim. Wade intentionally directed his actions towards Texas to interfere with a contract that was between Texas citizens and performable in Texas. This court has personal jurisdiction over Wade as a result. AP and Meyer, both citizens of Texas, entered a contract to publish Jawbreakers that was performable in Texas. It is undisputed that Wade intentionally reached out to AP by calling AP's landline business phone to discourage AP from publishing Jawbreakers. And Wade bragged on social media that he had done so. Despite Wade's initial denial under oath to this court that he did not know where AP was located until this suit was filed, liar. Faced with his recorded comments in Houston days after the call, he now admits, as he must, that he knew that AP was Texas-based at least by then. His claim that he only learned of AP's location after the call is completely implausible. He is unable to explain how he became aware of the fact. Wade also professed on at least 2 occasions within the same 2-week period that he had previously met and knew AP's owner, Dunn, and knew he was a, quote, good guy. He denies using the internet to identify the 210 area code number he dialed for AP's landline, probably because AP's San Antonio address is prominently displayed on its website. He claims instead to have procured the number from some unidentified industry source. Wade's assertion that he did not know where he was calling when he reached out to AP is simply not credible. Wade's actions during that call were intentional and deliberate. He wanted AP to drop Jawbreakers, and Wade succeeded. The case falls directly in line with Twa discussed above. Like the defendant in that case, Wade intentionally reached out to a Texas citizen to interfere with its contract to publish Jawbreakers. When Dunn spoke to Wade, Wade was an active participant advocating against publication of Meyer's book, just as the defendant in Twa was an active participant making misrepresentations. Here, Wade was a party in 2 telephone calls with Texas participants, one with AP's office manager and later with AP's owner, with the intention of convincing AP to breach his contract with Meyer. Wade's actions during those calls alone are sufficient contacts with Texas for this court to assert personal jurisdiction over Wade. One moment. Wade's reliance on Michiana Easy Living Country Incorporated versus Holton is misplaced. Aside from not being the law of the Fifth Circuit, we've got because jurisdiction is determined by the reach of due process clause under the Texas long arm statute, this court must follow Fifth Circuit precedent. See Tyson versus Austin Eating Disorders Partners. Rejecting defendant's reliance on Holton due to the Fifth Circuit's broader interpretation of the reach of the due process clause. So there you go. Again, so they cited a case that specifically doesn't recognize this case. Brutal citation there. Again, the Fifth Circuit has repeatedly stated that intentional tortious action during a single telephone conversation are sufficient for the defendant to be hailed into court in the forum state. Moreover, in this case, it was Waid who initiated contact by calling AP to threaten repercussions if it published Meyer's book. During his half-hour call with Dunn, Waid bullied him into canceling the book. These are intentional actions taken by Waid during those phone calls. Even if Waid were being truthful about his alleged ignorance of AP's Texas citizenship, despite the evidence to the contrary, that is not enough to defeat jurisdiction. It is undisputed that Waid called AP's business telephone with a San Antonio area code. Federal courts are critical of arguments that willful ignorance of the state to which the defendant directed communication defeats jurisdiction. Got a couple citations to back that up. Let's see. 3 citations. In this case, Waid intentionally reached out to a San Antonio business with a San Antonio area code for the purpose of interfering with that business's contract, solicited a call back from the company's owner, and executed on his intention to interfere with AP's contract. Finally, there is also no question that Waid's bullying influenced AP's owner to cancel publication of Jawbreakers. As described above, Dunn lamented to his colleague just before his call with Waid that AP was caught in the middle and was being bullied into not publishing Meyer's book, but that he was still proceeding with publication. When Dunn called Waid, they spoke at length, immediately after which AP announced its decision to drop the project. Obviously concerned about legal exposure, Waid sought to insulate himself from the consequences of his actions by repeatedly soliciting assurance from Dunn that Waid had not bullied him. That is not how innocent people act. It is clear that the telephone conversation between Waid and Dunn was a tipping point for AP, and Waid knows it. Waid defamed Meyer in Texas while speaking to Texans. Personal jurisdiction. So in these jurisdiction arguments, you have to establish with each cause of action why the court has jurisdiction over each cause of action. So that was obviously the tortious interference. Now they've got to speak specifically to defamation. Personal jurisdiction as to the defamation claim is not a close call. Waid traveled to Houston, Texas, and publicly repeated the statements on which Meyer's defamation claims are based. These included the false allegation that Meyer distributed a list of the first and last names of the employees who worked at bookstores who were not planning to order Meyer's book, and encouraged his followers to harass employees. The cases relied upon by Waid are irrelevant as a result. At best, Waid's authority stands for the proposition that personal jurisdiction cannot be based solely on statements being accessible on social media or on the internet in the forum state. See Higgins versus Save Our Heroes. Dismissing for lack of jurisdiction where defamatory statements were made solely on the internet, including Facebook and Twitter. But again, remembering that Waid lied, and that is probably going to nail him really hard. Waid lied in his motion, stating that he had only made the comments online, ignoring the fact that he had just made them literally in Texas. In this case, Waid repeated the defamatory statement to a Texas audience in Houston. Waid should have every expectation of being hailed into a Texas court as a result. Exercising jurisdiction over Waid will not violate traditional notions of fair play and substantial justice. Waid's conclusory complaints about fair play and substantial justice fall flat. Waid has no trouble traveling to Texas on multiple occasions over the years for comic book conventions and book signings. Waid's inconvenience is slight at best. As a result, there is no question that Texas clearly has a substantial interest in preventing interference with contracts between Texans that are performable in Texas. For the same reason, the relevant witnesses for Meyer's tortious interference and defamation claims, except for Waid, are all in Texas. Likewise, the state of Texas clearly has a substantial interest in defamation cases where statements were made in Texas about a Texas citizen and two Texas residents. Traditional notions of fair play and substantial justice are not offended by this court's exercise of jurisdiction over Waid. Conclusion and prayer. Prayer for relief is a term that is archaic but still accepted in courts. It has nothing to do with God, although it had something to do with God a long time ago. Waid's intentional actions directed towards Antarctic Press and Richard Meyer give rise to Meyer's tortious interference and defamation claims. Waid should not be allowed to tortiously interfere with Texas contracts and defame Texas citizens while in Texas, and then claim that the victims must travel to California to obtain redress. This court clearly has jurisdiction. Waid's motion to dismiss must be denied. Wherefore, plaintiff Richard Meyer respectfully requests that defendant's motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction be denied, and that plaintiff be granted all other relief to which he is justly entitled. And then we've got the attorney signing the document. There is that. There is that. And that is a wonderful, devastating motion response. Devastating motion response. Crafted by Daniel Byrne. Good job, Daniel Byrne. Hope to have you on the show at some point. So he very meticulously destroyed their arguments, highlighted that they made false arguments in their initial motion, and that's going to burn them really bad. And went ahead and used their depositions, the actual depositions that they got from this jurisdictional discovery to overcome all of the statements made in their initial motion. Now, these arguments, of course, do not just apply to jurisdiction. Like, you can see what they're doing here, right? They're not just hammering home the jurisdictional argument. Every one of these is a nail gun in the coffin of their case. Every single one of them is devastating to their underlying claims. These are not just jurisdictional claims. They got enough information in their jurisdictional discovery depositions to go ahead and carry through to the case. They could maybe even get summary judgment on these claims at this point. Because what's the argument? The argument that they didn't make them, even though they were admitted in deposition. Absolutely devastating. Again, all of these, you see this all the time. All these people are whining about, well, defamation cases are really hard to prove. Defamation cases were really hard to prove, but now everybody writes it down. Twitter, Facebook messages, Twitter DMs, texts. It's all recorded. All you have to do is authenticate the statements, and then you got them. They're done. What do you argue? The only argument is that I made these statements, but they're not defamatory because this is terrifying turf for these people. Terrifying, because I'm sure they went into their lawyer and said, I'm being sued for defamation. They're like, oh, some YouTube guy with 100,000 subscribers. Oh, that'll be easy. It's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be that easy anymore. You wrote it all down. And then this idiot, Waid, called up or got interviewed by Bleeding Cool, and he just laid out his defamation case to a journalist who repeated the words. What's he going to do? Say that Bleeding Cool lied and made a fictional interview? What's Bleeding Cool going to do if that claim comes up? Notice the parallels between this and Vic's case. They wrote it all down. Again, morons like Shane. Defamation cases are hard. Defamation cases were hard 20, 30 years ago when this case law was established, when no one had permanent records of everything. It was all done by phone or it was done in person. Like, the only option 30 years ago was to literally write a letter and mail it to someone. Well, you don't tend to defame people by letter because you wrote it down. But now we're in this email, text message, direct message culture that's been building for the past 2 decades. And now people defame others over a recorded medium that people can get access to with expansive discovery. And it is devastating. Devastating. All right. Now, we've got the deposition. We're going to have to be cautious with our time here. I'm about to do super chats, but I want to show you. I've got the deposition of Yoming done. I assume I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, buddy, I apologize. We've got videotape deposition of Mark Waid. This one we're going through. And then we've got the videotape deposition of Ben Dunn. So these are transcripts of the deposition, but we're not gonna. I think the best one to go through is Wade's. I think that's gonna be tip top, top keck, max lulls going through Wade's deposition. So we're gonna do that in just a second. But I've got to hit some of these super chats. and justice chats that came in early on. Let's get through some of these for 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll close out with this deposition, and then I will do a follow-up summary video that is 15 minutes long, roughly, to talk about how bad Mark Waid and Zaid, the AIDS team, Mark Waid and Zaid, the AIDS team. Oh my gosh, how bad their case is looking. And guys, it's bad. It's a bad case. You don't want to have that case. You don't want that case. The AIDS crew is positive that they're not gonna make it. All right, let's hit these chats. Neil Purcell, this is an hour before the show, guys. Says the Thought Police got booted by the Thought Police. There you go. Sharky says, I saw you retweeted Senpai Isn't Home saying Dominique Sky got kicked out of KamehaCon for shady things. Is there video evidence of this? I hear there may be, but I don't know yet. Mr. Mayhem, I read that one. That's Tim Pool. That's tomorrow. Tim Pool on the show tomorrow. Follow my Twitter. Make sure you are aware of when the Tim Pool live stream interview will be happening tomorrow, Sunday. It will not be at 11, likely. Likely not at 11. Sometime a little earlier in the evening. But keep a watch out for that. We will talk to Tim Pool live. Darkman McEdgeface says, come one, come all. Law Might is here to party. Bracken Joe 1 says, Nick, love your show, man. Did you hear about the boy who was thrown off the 4th floor of the Mall of America? Oh my God, no, I didn't. I will try and read up on that. Holy goodness. Did he die? I have to imagine that's a long fall. Craven Moorhead says, these Twitter warriors need to know the terror that is a public flogging in Minecraft for saying stupid things. Two-faced dummy garbage. Two-faced dummy garbage. And Fuzzy Pickles, I will be in contact with Emish. I'll talk with him today. Panda Pie says, laws for the law god. Let's get this started. Takaki Onsai says, had oral surgery today. Wasn't very happy, but seeing fans get to shake hands and tie beard, the long Vic lines, Dominique Sky toss like the trash she is in your stream makes it worthwhile. Happy to be helpful, buddy. Happy to be of service. Meximan and Cheese says, Kamehameha. Then we got Shamu13. Thank you for the donation. Mordecai Stewart says, if a company has a women's appreciation lunch and buys lunch and provides a long break for only women, is that grounds for a discrimination suit? It depends. Long story short, it depends. Depends on your state, but possibly. Badly injured for the kid at Mall of America. That's amazing. 5 years old? Oh my God. Wow, that is, oh my gosh. Lil Poo Poo says, here it comes, boys. How embarrassing. Angel Rin 89 says, did you hear Rial's embarrassing turnout? We talked about what the numbers I got were. Turns out there was a man on the inside counting. Talked about the numbers I got. 75 to 90 people for Rial, something like that. 153 people overall, but many of them could have been there for the card game tournaments or Pokestops or whatever. Siren Jag says, tip the fedora and say, good night, kidney stone. Good night, kidney stone. It can only tolerate so much thoughterry. Let's see. Ragna Bloodedge, I missed this. I missed this chat. I'm so sorry for missing this. He says, yo, I saw all the wins for Vic and L's for Kick Vic these past couple days. Vic had a gigantic line that Kick Vic tried to say was small, while Monica's line was almost non-existent. Also, Dominique Sky's BS LMAO. It's been a good day, hasn't it? It's been a good day. Duran19 says, did you hear about the Mall of America incident? Your comments? No, I did not. I did not hear about it. I'll have to go read about it. Robert Willing says, hey, using my free super chat here. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Let's see. I read the Marty Lund comment. SM Skorks 89 says, ask the beard if he saw what Dominique Sky tried. Yep, we talked to the beard about that. Mordecai Stewart says, also, please buy one of my stickers and help a fellow fan. Redbubble.com/people/a social media. And I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that into the chat for you guys. There you go. There you go. William Barnes says, did you hear about Shane making a Kiwi farm account and going on to talk about how great his groomed child bride gave head? Shane is a disgusting human being. Shane is a disgusting human being. And everyone should be embarrassed. Can you imagine? Like, guys, look. I can't imagine talking about my wife and the way Shane talked about his on Kiwi Farms. What a nasty, vile human that is. If you can even call him that. Ugh. Just gross. Chris Nemo says, make Tim remove the beanie. We'll have to check on that. Vintage saying, hey, Nick, I got to meet Vic and Mr. Beard today at KamehaCon. Keep up the good work. Also, Dominique Sky got kicked out of KamehaCon. Hashtag fear the beard. Absolutely. Fear the beard. Cars in Depth says, I'm a loyal Hebrew, but the elders of Zion have never sent me a weekly check or even let me know where and when the weekly meetings are where we get told how to manipulate you. Goyim, can I sue? Absolutely. Absolutely. Next. Tassius says, I wonder, did Ty get a better turnout than Monica? I think so. I think so. Let's see. CG says, oh, Broly be he belong from his neck to his knees. Victor Manana. Thank you. Shamu13, thanks for the donation again. Let's see. Skeet Neat says, got paid yesterday. Nick is live talking about comics. And Vic, the beard is back and my doctor tells me I don't have testicular torsion. Oh, thank God. Here's my sweatshop labor money, Nick, for all the awesome content you post. Not sarcasm. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it. Glad to hear about your nuts. Let's see. Luis Tomato says, met Vic, absolute stellar guy. Didn't get to meet Ty. Unfortunately, I have a plane to catch back home early morning tomorrow. Keep up the good work, Ty. Bo Stoker says, I don't know your contact info, which I believe you've gotten now. I really want his wife to get in contact with you. I'm going to be contacting my rep on Monday to hopefully get him some counsel. The man's getting railroaded in California and we're out of options. Buddy, if there is anything I can do to help a military medic or any kind of medic who has got a foreign combatant or an enemy combatant wrongful death suit, I will 100% do my maximum. That is ridiculous. Trow's Girl 87 says, Shane bragged about our emails to Ty costing Vic too much. Wants us to send more because he thinks we'll run him out of money. Good luck, Shane. Good luck, Shane. Oh, no, wait. Sorry. Vic is running out of money. Everyone, please donate to the GoFundMe immediately. I'm kidding, of course. Kidding, of course. But when those lawsuits are filed, and it sounds like it's going to be Monday, which is great, I will be in coordination with reading the complaints. Since we have tangible results, I will link those tangible results to a request for reinvigoration of the GoFundMe. I want to hit that 200,000 mark. I'm going to ask you guys to help me do it. So I will hope you will consider doing it. Or if you can't, and if you've already contributed, I understand 100%. Please consider sharing it, liking it if you haven't done it, or sharing it again if you already have. Let's get those. And I'll post, I will post an update to the GoFundMe as well. We're going to push again on that because I'm telling you, this first round of lawsuits has the potential to eat up what we've raised. Very, very expensive to litigate on so many fronts. And the second round of lawsuits have some juicy targets that we can infer because they won't be included in the first one. So Be prepared for that. I'm not trying to shill you for money. I'm just going to ask politely in response to the tangible results. 24-hour GoFundMe stream. I'm honestly considering it. Craven Moorhead says here's to not having nut torsion. Yeah, buddy. I'm with you. I'm with you. That's the best news that has happened all day. Not having testicular torsion. Trowa's girl. Oh, wait, we read that one. No one important says just saw pictures of Vic's line versus Monica's. Gotta say it. How embarrassing. Oh, do you have pictures of Monica's line? Oh, no. No. That's sad. I haven't seen any pictures of it. Storm Knight MD. Storm Knight MD says, anyone want to bet that with Vic there, the con made back what they lost in the studio tour refunds? I hope so. I hope so. KamehaCon made the right decision. Everybody else made bad decisions. That's how that went. Intimidator0108 says, at least Ty doesn't have 11 inches of snow where I live in South Dakota. Lol. Anyway, just about to start streaming Resident Evil 2 Remake on Twitch while watching your stream. Getting the latest juicy news. Next, Fred rated 1967. And I know there are Justice chats to get to as well, guys. Donated to Vic again today. Placed my order for Tug's comic book. Payday was good today. Yes, it was. Thank you so much for helping out. Let me get to those early Justice chats here. We have Phoenix says, you're doing the Lord's work, Nick, by spaying and neutering these soy boys and danger-haired freaks. Keep up the good work, and next time you're in Seattle or British Columbia, Canada, a round of whiskey and bourbon is on me. I will let you know, buddy. I will let you know. Spawn Pod says, General, thank you for your streams. Whether I listen a day or a month late, your voice has been a constant holding me through some stress. Keep it up. We'll keep supporting. Thank you very much. I will do my best. Vintage Saiyan says, hey, Nick, this is my first time donating. Thank you. I just met Vic at KamehaCon today. Awesome experience. Also got to meet Mr. Beard himself. Hashtag Fear the Beard. Keep up the amazing content. I will do my best. I will do my best. Phoenix with another chat that says, hey, Nick, you're doing the Lord's work, spaying and neutering these soy boys and danger-haired freaks. Next time you find your way up to Vancouver, Canada or Seattle, bourbon whiskey is on me. May have sent twice. Take my money anyway, happy to do so. Thank you so much. Hive Mind says, good. My servants are destabilizing your society. Night of Hopex says, can't Studio FOW just throw a dash in there as in subverse? Maybe. Since it's technically an abbreviation of a different word, seems like a reasonable solution. Could be, but they didn't. Let's see. Bagel Goose with 4 in a row. Fear the Beard, we love you, Ty. And Vic, you're one of us internet people now. We embrace you. Missed the beginning, but I'll watch it later. Here's some money. Thank you. Entertaining chat. Pay me no mind. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Oh, the first one, the Fear the Beard, was from Mythos Irving. Bagel Goose says, testing out more masks, pay no heed. And then finally, Bagel Goose says, last one, chat is confused. Chat is confused. We were all confused by what was going on with the masks, but thank you. Next, Desan Sarai, thank you for the donations. Cutie Honey 30, thank you for the donation. I really appreciate that. We've got Solsky Kai says, I have a question. Why do the SJW and White Knights call you blackface lawyer? Just a black gal wondering. They call me that. Because 15-ish years ago, maybe 16 now, I don't remember, I dressed up at a private party at my house as my best friend, a guy named Drexel, who has been on my show several times. We've been friends for something like 25 years now. I dressed up as him in his clothes. And the joke was that he was a big, buff black guy and I was a scrawny white guy. But I dressed up as him at the party. He came to my house. He was at that party. And there's a picture of me that was supposed to be private between friends. And someone got a hold of it and spread it around the internet, apparently causing incalculable harm to black people who were never supposed to see the picture. No malice was ever meant by it. It was all in good fun and supposed to be private between friends. But what do? It's on the internet. And before anybody asks, no, I'm not sorry I did it. No, there are no apologies ever coming for that picture. And that's just how it is. The picture is 100% authentic. The story around the picture from other people is 100% false. So there you go. That's why they call me Blackface Lawyer. You can decide if a bunch of white people weaponizing your race is more or less offensive than my picture. Either way. And if it was offensive to you, them's the ropes. Them's the ropes. I never intend to offend people, but sometimes it happens, and that's how life goes. Coop says, when 3 people attack you, you pull a gun, and the police tell you a fist fight doesn't constitute deadly force, charge you with aggravated assault. What do you do? Depends on the state, but don't talk to the cops. I'm assuming that has to do with the Andy Worski topic. I will reach out to Andy, guys. I'll reach out. I'm just not going to do it on the stream. Let's see. Short round. We got a couple more minutes of super chats, and then we'll get back into Meyer versus Waid. Wade's deposition. Short round says top 40 super chats get a free Fear the Beard patch. DM at DD214 is a gender on Twitter with proof. Ty special package coming for you. Did you get Primark Beard 8x10? Stay tuned for the Revenge of the Beard. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't read that one through while Ty was on stream. Short round. I'll send it to him. Richard Freeman, thanks for the donation. Crits8830 says, I wish Vic would come to SakuraCon and chase out the beached whales. I'm sorry for whatever BS SakuraCon has been thrown your way, Nick. Don't worry about it. It was one guy from SakuraCon. I don't know if it's official from the con. My understanding, by the way, is that SakuraCon has never had a problem with Vic Mignogna. I don't have any information that SakuraCon has banned Vic Mignogna or uninvited him. I believe that Vic was just not going to SakuraCon already this year because of a scheduling conflict. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm pretty sure he has something else the same weekend as SakuraCon, or at least had something else, and maybe they have uninvited him. I don't know. But all this talk about SakuraCon being unfriendly to Vic is not true. As far as I know, there's been no confirmation of that. And my understanding is that Vic was not going for a different reason. Now, of course, we'll be digging into it. We'll see. Richard Freeman says, are we able to take Shane to court for chair abuse? We've got to call the chair protection organizations that are out there and get that chair freed. Darkman McEdgeface says, this chat loves the beard loves the Duke. Absolutely. Luis Aguilan says, will Monica's therapist or the rapist be questioned as well? Well, I doubt it, but maybe if they raise the issue of her mental health, that's a possibility. It seems remote. Short round says top 4 over $20. Top 4 over 20, killing me, Nick. So there is his gauntlet is the top 4 donations over $20. So that's up to you guys. Blaine 20 says, if nothing else, I strongly desire for a judge to tell Ron how much of a bad boy he's been. That would be great. Penina Chan says, have you been following the crap Ren & Co. has been doing against Tug? Does he have a good chance of legal recourse? Can the beard help? I don't know. Yes, sort of. I mean, I've sort of been following it. I don't know if he has a chance of legal recourse. I'd have to look a lot more into it. Can the beard help? I think Tug has other counsel lined up. I'm not sure about that, but I don't know what the legal plan is there. Blank says, the Hive Mind sends its regards and Gene Stealers. Thank you so much. Underscore says, all of Vic's legal fees are going for printer ink. Printer ink. There you go. Charles Turner says, did you get my email? Also, are there any plans to do a show on Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? I may have gotten your email. I don't know. I have to go back and check. I just don't remember off the top of my head. Yes, there is plans to do a show on Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. We've just got so much juicy stuff going on right now that I haven't gotten to it yet. I apologize for that. Let's see. Voken Dodinox says, can we get an F in chat for Printer Coon? Let's see. Areva says, first time chat to borrow from Farouk. Damn, that's a lot of paper. I feel for the trees. Let's see. Simon Taylor. So in a purely hypothetical sense, if a certain blue-haired subhuman were to be served papers during all this, would her hypothetical going after Tug's kid affect the current case, or would that require separate litigation? That would be separate litigation. The Crow 751 says, have you heard you have narcolepsy? I do. When did you start to notice symptoms? 2006. How long after did you get diagnosed? Very quickly. As quickly as I could get into a doctor and get a sleep study. Once I realized that my sleeping patterns and my yawning and my fatigue during the day was not normal and went to see a doctor, I was diagnosed, I think, within a month. I have narcolepsy with cataplexy, and it took me a year before I got tested. Averaged around 2.5 minutes before it was out cold. Yeah, that's about where my average was. It was, I think it was 1.5 minutes, 4.5 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 30 seconds, and then 1.5 minutes or something like that. I like the Spike Man says, if you're ever in KC, Kansas City, try the bar peanuts buffalo wings. Those things are bigger than a toddler leg. Great spice and amazing blue/ranch. I'm Justin Y, and I post pointless trash. Oh, with a giant donation, but no super chat. I think I'm gonna guess short round that one wins for the day. We'll have to see. Morty Vite says, smiles and wink faces in chat for legal Minecrafting of Soye. Cabria Cousin says, hey, Nick, I have a question about Monica's story. If I remember right, she said she knew that Vic has been hurting people for years. Doesn't that possibly make her an accessory after the fact? Maybe, but like the problem with that is, along with those claims being outside the statute of limitation, her accessory status will be outside the statute of limitations. Could be a good argument, but it's like as far as persuasiveness, but it will be outside the statute. I would wager. Having not researched it, my guess is that it's outside the statute. Okay. Cabria Cousins, Mr. Beard, and Nick, you guys should come to Hawaii. It's sunny and 80 degrees. And Sam Everyman says, that Tug stuff is like when my old lady gave premature birth in the living room to an underdeveloped zygotic embryo with full-size D cups, a gross miscarriage of just tits. Thanks, buddy. Okay, let's get back to Meyer. Where are we? Here we go. Oh, wait, there were a couple more justice chats. Quicksilver Pony says, you have been visited by the rare money cloud. Watch in excitement as it pisses dollar bills all over your face. Thank you for urinating on me, Money Cloud. Anonymous says, just kidding. This is the last one. Darking D says, not to sidetrack, but Tim Pool has just provided your new material. Yes, as I stated, Tim Pool tomorrow. Whoa, and then Voken de Dinok drops a big chat, says, shouldn't be doing this, but Justin needs to be taken down a peg. Match me. Holy cats, buddy. Thank you. Thank you for throwing that gauntlet down, I guess. That's a wild chat there, my friend. Okay. Let's get back to Meyer versus Waid. We're going to read Waid's deposition. Now, this is 28 pages total. We are not going to likely see all of it, but I'm going to do my best. And we'll probably carry the stream a little longer than 3 hours. Dave, sorry, there are a couple 20, there's a 20 justice chat here. Dave A says, Nick, are you aware of what happened to Nerdrotic, where a BS copyright live stream takedown had the channel lose live stream money for a week? Is it something he could get reparation from company that did the strike? Maybe. I'd love to talk to Nerdrotic. I have a referral for him if he wants to pursue it. So if you have a line to him, certainly have him talk my way. I know the guy who could help him with a BS copyright claim. And depending on what his live stream income is, it may or may not be worth it to pursue. So we'd have to check. But, okay, let's hit this deposition. I hope you guys can read this. I can read it on my YouTube. So if you're at 1080p or 720p, you probably can. Here we go. The videographer. I'm going to try and say videographer and then drop the quote, or Byrne or Pierce. Pierce would be the plaintiff's attorney or the defendant's attorney. Byrne is the plaintiff's attorney. Meyer, defendant, would be Mark Waid. So I will try and drop the name and then go with it. Now we're going to notice something immediately. Pierce is a junior associate at his law firm. Byrne is a senior associate at his law firm. So Waid is not having the senior associate or Mark Zaid, apparently. Let's see who is present. Mark Zaid is apparently present. Yes, Mark Zaid is present. Ryan Pierce is present. But Reeves, the senior partner at the Texas firm, is not present. But Pierce is there and Mark Zaid is there. Okay. Here we go. Now, there may be something redacted in this. I haven't had time to read through it. This is new to me as it is to you guys. And I'm going to give you guys my best live assessment of what's going on. Billy the Mac. No. Well, I'll try and pause it on each page. I'm going to try and get through. Let's just try and get through all the pages or get all the pages on stream so you'd be able to pause and read them. The videographer. We're on the record to begin the video recorded deposition of Mark Waid in the matter of Richard Meyer versus Mark Waid. Today is February 26, 2019. The time is approximately 1:26 p.m. Case is filed in U.S. District Court for the Western District of Texas, Austin Division, case number blah, blah, blah. This deposition was requested by counsel for the plaintiff, Richard Meyer. We are in the offices of Glasser Wheel, located at 10250 Constellation Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. So this deposition took place in California. You typically have to depose someone in their home state. Meyer lives in California, or Waid lives in California. Meyer had to travel to California. He had to pay for his attorney, Byrne, to be in California too. Waid would have to pay for any of his Texas-based counsel to go to California as well. Phoenix Aram says, I did a drinking game with my mates where we finished our glass every time you said tortoise. Damn you for my hangover this morning. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy. All right. Okay. So the court reporter is Vivian Lane with the offices of Barkley Court Reporters. My name is John Hank. I'm representative of Lexitas, located at 13101 Northwest Freeway, Suite 210, Houston, Texas. So they also, Meyer has to pay for everybody from Texas except for Waid's counsel. So just so you know how that works. I want to be clear. Depositions are very, very expensive, especially when conducted in a foreign jurisdiction. Byrne. Dan Byrne with the firm in Austin, Texas, and I'm here representing Richard Meyer. Pierce. Ryan Pierce here for the defendant, Mr. Waid from Austin, Texas, and sitting next to me is Mark Zaid from Washington, D.C. Videographer with the court... Oh, wait, no, sorry. What kind of case? I'm sorry, what kind of case? It was a copyright case. What? All right, you understand the oath you just took is the same one you take in front of a judge and the jury. Wait a minute. No. Okay, that was weird. Sorry. I thought there was a page break here. Let me go back. Sitting next to me is Mark Zaid from Washington, D.C. Videographer. Would the court reporter please swear in the witness? Oath is administered to the deposed Mark Waid as follows. Reporter, will you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly state under penalty of perjury that the testimony you give in this deposition shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Witness, which is Waid. Waid, I do. Byrne. And let the record also reflect that Richard Meyer, one of the parties, is also present. Here's examination by Byrne. So every question is from Byrne and answer is from Waid. Question, would you state your name for the record, please? Sure, Mark William Waid. And Mr. Waid, have you ever been deposed before? Yes, I was an expert witness once. Okay, any other times? No. What kind of case? I'm sorry, what kind of case? It was a copyright case. All right, you understand the oath you just took is the same one you take in front of a judge and a jury? I do. And as we just did in the announcements, you know I'm here representing Richard Meyer in the lawsuit that's pending between the two of you. Yes, sir. Okay, I'm going to try and be as efficient as possible today. Tell me a little bit about your background. I think I've read somewhere that you were born in Alabama. That's correct. I was born in Alabama, moved around the South as a child, lived in Virginia, lived in Buffalo, and in California, and in Florida. I've been out here off and on for about 16 years. Okay, did you go to college somewhere? Virginia Commonwealth University. Okay, and when did you graduate if you graduated? I did not graduate. And I think I also read somewhere that there was a period of time when you actually lived in Texas. That's correct. When was that? That would have been from 82 to approximately 84 or 85. Okay, and what brought you to Texas in the early 80s? My mother was ill, and I guess she had relocated there, right? Exactly, yes. And were you working during that time? Yes. And what kind of work were you doing? Assistant to an accountant. And when did you get into the business of I'm not sure the comic book industry? Oh, sure. And in what way? I began on staff in 1987 as an assistant editor, associate editor of DC Comics. And what city was that in? That was in New York. All right. How long did you live in New what? Wow. We went from page 8 to page 37. So there was a big redacted chunk. It must not have been relevant to the case. Okay, so that's something we're probably going to see. Is there are redacted portions of this that are not relevant to the case? For those of you listening by audio, in like 6 months when I catch up on uploading audio, I will attempt to note those jumps in pages. Craven Moorhead says, God bless you, Nick. Back at you, buddy. Back at you, buddy. So this is jumped from page 8, I believe, to page 37. Substance and content of the actual Jawbreaker comic that is offensive. So this sounds like, I'm going to put in brackets a guess here. Did you report the substance and the content of the actual Jawbreaker comic that is offensive? Answer from Waid. To Kickstarter, yes. Question, I'm sorry, to Kickstarter. Yes, sir. I'm not asking about Kickstarter right now. I'm asking about you. Answer, that wasn't clear. You were just asking about okay. Answer, okay. Well, if you're asking to this day, based on my knowledge that Kickstarter rejected this project on the basis of victory and misogyny, then the answer would be yes. Question, so you're saying that you assume, even though you don't know, that there's something about the content of the comic that was produced that must be offensive. Otherwise, Kickstarter wouldn't have done what it did. Pierce, objection to form. Waid, I know for a fact Kickstarter rejected the project on those grounds. We have documentation of that fact. Phoenix Aurum says, I forgive you for finishing your drink. By the way, it was Southern Comfort, brown sugar bourbon, great going down. Gonna sting coming up. Night, Nick. Yeah. Good night, buddy. Night, buddy. Thank you. I'll take a sip of vodka just for you. Gotta have a little vodka in your life. I'm usually a whiskey guy. Vodka is just, it's just the liquor, right? Just the liquor. That rejected for victory line might be a typo, but I don't know what it says. I don't know what is said, what it says. Or what was said. Okay. We have documentation of the fact. Burn. Because of the content, the work, not because of those issues being affiliated with Mr. Meyer. Pierce, object to form. Now, notice he's still answering the question, because even if you object to the form of the question, in deposition, you still have to answer the question. Waid says that is correct. Whoa, I'm Justin Y and I post pointless trash. Big chat, buddy. Whoa, thank you. He says, need to apologize for my just for clicks comment the other night. Rewatched. The question was only for clicks. Obviously, I was in a mood and turned my drunk brain off after I heard I don't make these videos for clicks. Sorry for shaning out. I appreciate you, buddy. Well, I appreciate you checking that out, and I will certainly always admit that the clicks and views on the videos that I do are always encouraging for the content, and they certainly make up a part of what I choose to highlight. Thank you so much for that donation. I really appreciate you too, man. I really do. I really do. But I can be honest and tell you that, especially in Vic's case, particularly in Vic's case, even if the views were low, I would still be covering it because it's something I am really, really passionate about. That said, let's move on. Okay, so they object to the form. Waid says that's correct. Burn. So did you, at some point, you decided to call Antarctic Press? Correct. Did you go online and Google Antarctic Press to get the number, or did you already have it? Not to the best of my recollection. I'm sorry? Not to the best of my recollection. Did you already have the number, the contact information in your contacts? No, sir. How did you go about getting contact information from Antarctic Press? To the best of my recollection, I contacted industry colleagues, seeing if anyone had contact information for them. Do you remember who you contacted? Now, these names are redacted. I don't know who the names were. I have suspicions, but I'm not going to say. I remember I contacted, redacted. I don't recall anyone else I may have gotten the information from. I don't recall whether or not blank or redacted even picked up the phone or whether or not I got the number from someone else. I just remember me reaching out and making contact or trying to make contact. Okay, is it possible you could have Googled it and found it on the internet? Object to form. What's there to object to? That's a very clear question. Is it possible? Not to my recollection. Back to burn. I didn't ask where. Obviously, you don't recall going to the internet. I don't. Would that not be a normal action that you would typically take in this situation where you're trying to get the number of a business? Object to form. Again, that wasn't the direction I went. Burn. I'm not asking what you did in this case. I'm asking what you would normally do if you want to try to reach a business somewhere around the country. Isn't it a normal action for you to type the name of the business in on Google and see if you can find what you need on the internet? Object to form. There's no problem with that question. There is no problem with that question. All he has to say is no. I check a phone book or something like that. No, I'd ask my friends. Because that's how everybody gets phone numbers, is they only ask their friends and they never check online. Object to form. The answer, if it's a company outside the purview of my industry, sure. If I'm trying to lodge a complaint with Amazon.com, yes. But we're not talking about that. Back to burn. And why do you not use that same tool when you're within your industry? Object to form. Again, no problem with this question, but you got to object. It was simply just the direction I went. Mr. Byrne, I understand that's what happened here. Right. But I'm asking why you would differentiate between how you would reach a business that you didn't have a number for that's in your industry versus one that's outside your industry. Pierce, object to form, asked and answered. But he hasn't answered that question. And that question, I mean, it has been asked, but it hasn't been answered. Honestly, I don't recall. Okay, back to Byrne. Who did you talk to first at Antarctic Press? I don't know the person's name. Whoever answered the phone? Question mark. Whoever answered the phone. And what did you recall about the conversation? I recall that I left a message. It was regarding their announcement. I said specifically during that conversation, I wish to speak to the owner. Not in anger. I said specifically, I'm not calling to tell you what to publish or not to publish, but I would simply like to speak to Mr. Dunn and see if he understands, why the backlash is happening. Question. So you left a message specifically for Ben Dunn. I did. Okay, and that was on Friday? Yes, sir. How long did it take for that message to be returned approximately? Approximately 2 hours. And who called you back? I believe it was Ben Dunn at the time. I later learned it was his brother, Joe. Have you ever met Joe? Not to my recollection. What do you know about their different roles, or did you understand their different roles within, or what their different roles were within Arctic Press at the time of this call? I had no idea. My understanding at the time was that Ben was still the publisher/owner. That's why I reached out to him. And how long did you talk to Mr. Dunn on that, on that Friday? To the best of my recollection, approximately 15 minutes, perhaps a little longer. Was that on your cell phone? Yes, sir. Do you have records of that call? Not to the best of my recollection. No, sir. Of course you have records of that call. Your cell phone company does. Have you tried to get them? I have not tried to get them. No. Now we've got a redacted chunk there. Question. Okay. So tell me what you recall about the substance of the conversation with Mr. Dunn that lasted approximately 15 minutes or maybe longer. Certainly. Mr. Dunn called. I was expecting a call, or at least hoping to expect a call. So I picked up the phone. The first words out of Mr. Dunn's mouth were a sigh and then, I know. I laughed and we started talking about what? What do you know? And then he explained he had already had a morning and afternoon of angry freelancers and of his own staff being angry and threatening to quit over the situation. I said, how did you not know? He said, I'm not on social media. This is not my full-time job. I said, I'm not calling to tell you what to publish or not to publish. That is not my intent, and people can publish whatever they want to publish. I just wanted to make sure you understood why there was such a firestorm coming your way and why there was such an outcry. Now, this is probably coached. This is probably coached from his attorney, from his legal team. Notice the focusing on not telling them what to publish or not to publish. He indicated that he now understood. He didn't understand at the beginning of that day, but by that time he had understood. He indicated to me that the point he was ready to sever ties with Mr. Meyer, he used the phrase, his behavior is indefensible. And from there, we started talking about believing that, we were on the same page at that point. The conversation became more genial. I thought it was a nice conversation before, but now he says it became more genial. Now, good on you being able to stay in business this long in the good and bad times. We talked about the role of a publisher. How, the role of divorcing the work from the creative person. Sometimes you won't publish something because you find the author repellent. Sometimes you will. That's not how contracts work, though, Wade. It's not how contracts work. You shouldn't be talking about this stuff. Sometimes it became a conversation about where do you draw the line? How offensive or how immoral does someone have to be for you as a publisher to say, all right, I can't divorce the work from this person. I can't publish this. It was a very congenial and very friendly conversation. Yeah, about tortious interference. Listen to that. We just had a conversation about where you draw the line. How offensive and immoral does somebody have to be for you as a publisher to say, all right, I can't divorce the work from this person? Phoenix Aram says, with all the BS that's being spewed from this guy, I'm half asked you to think you'll shout objection, Phoenix Wright style. Oh. So that was all Wade. Here's Byrne. So he talked about the recognition in the industry that the work and the person should not be viewed as one thing, but should be viewed independently. Correct? Object to form. What's the objection to the form of this question? Not correct. No, sir. We talked about the extent at which that's the case. He never indicated absolutely that you should always separate the person from the product. That was the whole point of the conversation. By Byrne. So when you got the call on do you have an iPhone? I do. When you got the call on your iPhone, did you notice that the origination of the number was San Antonio, Texas? I don't recall. When did you figure out that Antarctic Press and Mr. Dunn were based in San Antonio? Answer. To the best of my recollection, it was in the week or week and a half following when the entire thing became a giant industry brouhaha. And there was much discussion. There was much hatred flying my way on social media, much anger. And somewhere in that maelstrom, I believe it was just brought to my attention that Mr. Meyer was in Texas, which was news to me. That Antarctic Press was in Texas, which was news to me. And why would that have been a relevant data point in the maelstrom that followed the phone call? Well, with respect that you'd have to ask the people who put information out there. To the best of my recollection, it became, this is bad behavior, and honestly, I don't know. So here he is admitting to bad behavior. That's not a good thing. That's actually a bad line for him. Every game played says the funniest part is that Meyer is in the room listening to him while he's answering this. Yeah, that's a good one. It really is. Remember that Meyer is listening there. Now, if you're ever in a deposition as the opposing party and you're there, be stone-faced. Flat. No reactions, no laughing, nothing like that. It's got to be stone-faced. That's my personal advice to you. Unless you could secretly do it and unhinge the other party. But that strategy, you better talk with your attorney. Mr. Waid, is it possible that you knew, based on your prior extensive familiarity with the industry and it being a fairly small industry, that Antarctic Press was based in San Antonio before you made the call there? Object to form. Not that I recall. Burn. But you also can't recall how it came up in the context of the discussions in the week or two following that call from Texas, where you had directed your communications during that call. That's a big problem with his testimony, right? I don't know how I got it, but I must not have gotten it by looking it up. I must not have. I must have gotten it from someone. I don't know who. I reached out to only one person that I could think of, but they didn't give me the info, and so I don't know where I got it. But it was definitely not on the internet. Mithra Nemmer says, if they are using Texas deposition rules, all you can do is object to the form. If I'm remembering that correctly. Form, I think you may be able to object to relevance if it's clearly irrelevant. But even that, it's going to get overruled. But it sounds like Zaid, and this is Pierce, Zaid hasn't said a word yet, is just trying to throw off Burns' flow and buying time for his client. Yeah, absolutely. And remember, this is not Zaid. This is just Pierce. Pierce says, Dan, that's to Dan Byrne. When you get to a good point, okay, we've been going about an hour. Can we take a bathroom break? Just whenever you get to an okay stopping point. Okay, so bathroom break. Byrne says, sure, this is as good as any. Off the record. Back on the record. Videographer, we're off the record at 2:26, recess taken. Back on the record at 2:38, so 12-minute bathroom break. So Waid gets to go poop. The witness, back to Waid. If I may, before we start, there's a couple things I'd like to clarify. Byrne, you can just do that when you get your deposition transcript if you feel like you need to correct something. Or your lawyer can ask follow-up questions. Yeah, no. This is a neat interplay here. This is a neat interplay. Waid comes back and says, look, I want to control something in this deposition. Byrne says, no. Let's remember who the witness is here and who the big swinging lawyer is. I'm the lawyer. I'm asking the questions. You can just do that later. Not going to let you just freely talk on my deposition dime. So Byrne asks, the Friday that we're talking about here when this phone call took place, yes, is May 11th, 2018, correct? Correct. And did you come away from your call with Mr. Dunn on May 11th with the understanding that his company was not going to proceed with the publishing of Mr. Meyer's book? My understanding was that he had personally made that decision. And did you feel like as a result of that decision that you had achieved your goal? Objection, form, for the call. My goal for the call was simply to alert him of the hornet's nest he was stumbling into. So any sense that mission was accomplished within the first 30 seconds of that call. Bad answer, Mark Waid. Bad answer. That is a terrible answer. He should not have answered that question in that way. If I'm coaching him, do you feel like, as a result, that decision that you had achieved your goal? I don't know what my goal was. I didn't have a specific goal. No, I don't feel like I achieved my goal is probably a bad answer too. I don't recall having a goal. My goal wasn't clearly defined. Don't say you achieved your goal. Don't say you didn't achieve your goal. You really shouldn't be answering questions about the goal. Every time your attorney objects in deposition, that's a cue to you. That's a cue to you to take a moment. Mithra Nemmer just said, buying time for his client. Take a moment, pause, and think real hard about the answer, because you may not want to answer this. Don't answer this. That's why I'm objecting. Well, did you have any sense personally that you had won? Object to form. Don't answer this question. There was no winning or losing. No, sir, that was not the object. Better answer than before. Byrne. Well, you would acknowledge that your hope for outcome when you initiated the call was for him to reconsider the decision to publish Mr. Meyer's book, right? Objection. Not necessarily, sir. Would you say you were pleased with the decision Mr. Dunn made by the conclusion of your call? Objective form. I would say that's accurate. That's a bad statement to have. What's the next substantive communication? See, here's why that's a bad statement to have. Because Byrne is inferring that the clear goal of the call is to cause that decision. Are you pleased with the decision he made? Yes. Well, the decision was to interfere with the contract and drop the book, right? That's a bad thing to say yes to in this context. That's the bad thing to say yes to in that context. You should say, at worst, you should say, I was pleased to pass along the information about why he was being harassed by other people. There you go. Done. That's the worst statement you would want on record. Anything else gets terrible. Phoenix Aurum. Last one for the night. Thank you, buddy. Can you do a stream for us Canadians about our soy boy prime minister? He's in hot water with a corruption scandal. Ooh, that would be good. That'd be good. I'd have to get an expert Canadian on to help out with that. I do know a couple expert Canadians. So maybe. Okay. What's the next substantive communication you recall having in the days following your call on the Antarctic Press announcement that relate to Mr. Meyer? Not long after. I can't remember exactly how long, but that afternoon or early evening, I received a text message from Mr. Dunn that initiated a conversation that was quite pleasant. A text conversation? Yes, sir. Okay, all right. And did that text conversation continue into the following week? Gesundheit. Someone must have sneezed. I wouldn't say continue. Who says Gesundheit? I wouldn't say continue. There were other conversations. Yes, I believe there were 3 interactions via text and all. Isn't Gesundheit German? Is Waid secretly a Nazi? I wouldn't say continue. There were other conversations. Yes, I believe there were 3 interactions via text and all. And you were seeking assurance from Mr. Dunn that he didn't feel bullied by you during your call, correct? Object to form. That is correct. What's the objection to form? Nothing. That is correct. And of course, it's evident from the text messages that that is true. Did he ever give you that assurance in the days following the call? Object to form. He did not. Again, remember, the objections in this chat. Whoa! I just saw the Giant Justice chat, and I will read it in just a moment. The objections in this chat are, again, they're cues to the witness. Don't answer this question. Please, dear God, don't answer this question in a bad way. Vokan Dodinak with a giant $420 Justice chat. Thank you so much. Says Justin Y. Your mother is a hamster and your father smells of elderberries. Now match me or I shall taunt you a second time. That's wild, you guys. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my goodness. Okay, so the last answer was from Waid saying that is correct to not getting the answer. Or he said he did not provide an answer as to why, as to the assurance that he did not bully him. So back to Burn. It says, do you recall the issue of Mr. Meyer and the Antarctic Press jawbreaker decision coming up during your appearance in Houston later in May? So now we're on to that May KamehaCon appearance. I do. And what is it that prompted you to remember that conversation? I was speaking at a panel, as one does at these things, in front of a group of fans who asked questions about my career, about my involvement, about my life, about whatever. I'm an open book when it comes to that kind of stuff. And at some point, someone asked about Meyer or about the foofara that had blown up about it. Foofara? Who says foofara? And had you forgotten about answering questions about Mr. Meyer in Houston in May of 2018 when you filled out your first affidavit in support of a motion to dismiss the case? Yes, that's why we followed up with the correction once I remembered. Yes. Okay, I'll just tell you for the record that affidavit was executed on November 1st and there was a follow-up a day or so later, several days, on November 12th. Uh-huh. So what happened between November 1st and November 12th? To refresh your recollection about the fact you had indeed directed communications concerning Mr. Meyer to persons in the state of Texas. Oh, Burn, if you're flirting with me about the tweets that I sent, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you are. Blaine 20 says, "Hey, Laser Lips, your mama was a snowblower." Ooh. Mithrin Emmer says, "Good Lord, did Pearson's aide not prepare Waid for this deposition? I know 3 of my profs would be shaking their heads about this and using it as an example of a deposition gone wrong. Or is Waid that egotistical?" I think Waid is hard to prepare. We have all sorts of evidence that Waid is erratic, childish, and emotional. I think he probably did a really good job given his normal performance. But I don't know. So what happened between November 1st and November 12th, to refresh your recollection, about the fact that you had indeed directed communications concerning Mr. Meyer to persons in the state of Texas? I honestly don't recall. Did you go back and listen to the audio of your interview before you signed your supplemental affidavit? The supplemental one, yes, sir. Mr. Pierce says, "Oh, you'll get that copy." And then here's the copy of that affidavit, supplemental affidavit. Waid says, "Thank you." Mr. Byrne, back to Byrne, says, "I'm going to hand you what's been marked as Exhibit 1 to your deposition. You recognize this as the personal appearance agreement that you entered into in connection with your appearance at the Houston event, May of 2018. I do. And is there a signed version of this somewhere? I assume there is. Okay, did you make any effort to locate it? No, sir. Is this a fairly standard form of agreement you get for appearing at these events? It's hard to say. This was a new arrangement with a representative who would organize these things, and then he's paid, and then I'm paid through him. So you had a different promoter for this one than you usually use." Answer: I generally don't use promoters. My guess on the redacted part is that he asked Waid whether or not or how much he was paid for the appearance at the KamehaCon. This is redacted. However, note that this question is shockingly important because it establishes specifically that Waid, if I'm right, that Waid was paid to do something in Texas, which means he does business in the Texas forum, which might mean that Texas doesn't even need specific jurisdiction over either action, but they might have general jurisdiction because he does business in Texas. He travels there and gets paid. So if he had a payment agreement in this document, it is hugely important to the case overall. Okay, the reporter says thank you. Mark Waid says you're welcome. Byrne says, "I'm going to hand you what is marked as Exhibit 2 to your deposition and ask you if that appears to be an accurate transcript of your part of your conversation with the audience during the Houston event in May of 2018. Pierce says, "Are you asking him to certify that this is an accurate transcript of," he's going to say, "the YouTube video?" Byrne, "Yeah, I'm asking if it looks right to him." "Yeah," says Pierce. Byrne, "I'm not asking him to give a verbatim blessing to it." Pierce says, "So just generally." Byrne, "Just generally, yes." Whereupon the witness reviews the document. Waid says, "Okay." Question again was, Byrne, "Does that appear to generally be an accurate transcription of your comments and your interaction with an audience member at the Houston May 2018 event?" "Yes, sir." Let me just play the one that's marked. Waid says, "Okay, which?" Byrne, "I'm going to play the audio file." Waid, "The one that's marked? You're looking for the one that's marked?" Pierce says, "Has this been marked yet?" The reporter says, I'll sticker it later." Waid says, "Okay, I see what you're saying." Pierce says, "Okay." Byrne, "So it'll be marked as Exhibit 3. The reporter, "Yes." Byrne, "I'll ask you to listen to this recording." Audio recording was played as follows. "You guys created did their comic. Great. Awesome. Then they started doing things like making a list of there was a bunch of stores that decided they weren't going to carry the comic." So he's playing audio of Waid's panel discussion back to him. And he's going to ask if this is you saying these things. Byrne says, "I think I may be playing the wrong excerpt." Pierce says, "Yeah, that was in the middle. Audio recording was played as follows. That's tough to answer me because I'm trying to, you don't want to give oxygen too much to toxic people. But what he's basically talking about there is there are, just as there are in pop, I mean, right there in the world right now, not just in comics, but in the world, you got heavily, you know, male heavy movements of guys who were trying to move things back or towards white supremacy, back towards a world in which women knew their place, that kind of nonsense. And they are the Proud Boys, or they're, you know, they're this group or they're that group. Byrne says, let me just pause right there. Let me just pause right. Is that your voice that we're hearing on the recording? Yes, sir. Okay, and so far, does this transcription track a fair degree of accuracy? What you were saying back at the time? Objection. Yes, sir. Is there anything about it that was inaccurate that you've heard? Not that I've caught. Okay, and you, in making these comments, were responding to an audience member's question about diversity in comics and Mr. Meyer, correct? Let me read his question again. Witness reviews the document. The answer to the question would be a little more general about these people, but yes. But yes. There is a specific question about diversity in comics, which you identify with Mr. Meyer, correct? Buried in here, there is a specific question. Okay. Audio is played as follows. Whew, guys, I don't know if we're gonna get through all of this, because we're at 3 hours already, and we're only on page 8 of 28. A lot of pages. And not all of them are depositions. Some of them are supplemental exhibits. So just a second. Okay. Audio recording says, in comics, as you know, a group or two like that too. Comic fans have a group like that or two too, and it's a shame. Trying to say without inflaming anything. Recently, one of them of these groups kickstarted a comic, and great, awesome. They're gonna do their own graphic novel because they're super conservative, hyper conservative guys. Mr. Byrne. Were you referring to, let me interrupt the recording again, are you referring to Mr. Meyer as the group that's going to do their own graphic novel? He and his collaborator, sir. Yes, sir. Do you know whether he had any co-authors? I know because of the way the craft works that he would have been working with an artist, because he's not a colorist. And a colorist, yes. Okay, so you're referring to that group, Mr. Meyer and his colorist and artist, right? We're on the line. I know one of these groups. I was talking again. I'm talking specifically about those three people, just more in a general sense of Comicsgate has started. Because again, by that time, in most people's minds, including my own, Myers and Comicsgate were interchangeable. That is a bad answer. That is a terrible, terrible answer. Now, mind you, he had almost made a good answer up above, where he said, I was speaking generally about these groups. I'm speaking generally about these people, these groups of people, these white supremacists or whatever. But here he just says, these groups, Comicsgate and Meyer, are interchangeable in my mind. So this guy admitted just now that everything he says about these groups, he's applying specifically to Meyer. We, of course, know this, but now he says it on record. That is devastating to the case. That is devastating. Whoa. Whoa, that is bad. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to finish these 4 pages of deposition. I'm going to pick this up tomorrow. No matter when we do the Timcast, I'm going to pick this up in a special live stream tomorrow at 11 to follow up and finish this out, okay? And we, depending on the time, we may go through some of the other exhibits as well. But I want to get through this. It's really late tonight, and I'm not going to get through this and all the chats without dying if I keep going. So I'm going to finish these 4 pages. We're going to do chats, and then tomorrow we will pick this up, okay? This is obsessively damaging to Wade's case. He just admitted that any statements he made about Comicsgate or other groups are interchangeable with Meyer. And that is brutal because his whole defense is I'm talking generally. And that was a good defense and he just obliterated it. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. In this statement, you're actually talking about a graphic novel, correct? That is correct, yes, sir. And that would be Mr. Myers and his colorist and his artist, graphic, inaudible, but it's probably novel, that you're referring to, correct? That's correct. Back to the audio. And the myth was, the rap was that comics was not interested in creating conservative creators and we're throwing conservative creators out. That's not the case at all. It's a lot of conservative creators at comics. We're throwing assholes out. That's what we're doing. And for every conservative asshole we don't work with in comics, there's 10 liberal assholes we don't work with in comics. So if that's not, there's no political yardstick here. These guys created they did their comic, great, awesome. Then they started doing things like making a list of the store. There was a bunch of stores that decided they weren't going to carry the comic. So these guys made a list of the stores. And remember, when he says these guys, he just admitted he's talking about Meyer in his own mind. Boom! Nukes fired. And their phone numbers and their names, first and last of all their employees. Burn. And again, you're referring in this comment to Mr. Meyer, correct? List of employees that you testified about earlier. Objective form, please. To the Wade in back, please, dear God, don't answer that question. Please, God, don't answer it. Objective form, or is that a reference to someone else? It's a more general statement to not necessarily to him, but the people who were working on this book. So yes, directly to him again. Whoa. Bad answer. Bad. Did anyone beside Mr. Meyer, to your knowledge, circulate a list of stores and phone numbers? Not that I recall. No. Oh my God. Oh no. Wade. No. Okay. Back to the audio. And with that, the idea that, oh no, don't call them and harass them. We're not telling you to do that at all. But here's their phone numbers and their first and last names of their employees. Well, come on. So there was a burn. And is your comment here? Let's pause to correct. And is your comment here? Let's pause to correct. Oh, wait, no. Let's pause again. Sorry, the format of this is really weird. Let's pause again, intended to suggest that there was, in fact, an implied direction to harass the stores and their employees. Absolutely. No. Oh, that's F for Wade. Okay. Back to the tape. All right, remember, we're about to finish this page. Publisher, so there was is the first part of this line. Publisher here in Texas who was going to publish their comic. For after it had been kickstarted, they were gonna, I think he's saying publish it for comic stores, and there was a huge amount of hatred towards that publisher at this moment. There was most people in comics, most fans in comics were looking at this as what are you doing? These are indefensible human beings. They harass women, they harass minorities, they harass LGBTQ people. They're full of hate. What are you doing? Mr. Byrne and Mr. Meyer. Pause again. Mr. Meyer, Mr. Wade. Oh, there he goes. He just goes ahead and admits to the statement, admits to the subject of the statement. Guys, all a court has to do now is determine if these statements assumed to be true for the jurisdictional argument would qualify as defamation, or assumed to be false. Assumed to be false statements, do they qualify as defamation for the Texas Civil Participation Act? Absolutely. Absolutely. This makes a prima facie case for jurisdiction, makes a prima facie case for the Texas Defamation or the Civil Participation Act. That motion is probably coming right after this, and it will defeat This alone, this transcript alone will defeat that argument very, very quickly. Waid will not have much to say on it. Here's where we're going to stop. Here's where we're going to stop for the night. We'll pick up tomorrow at the normal time. Again, Tim Pool will be sometime tomorrow. The normal broadcast will start at 11 p.m. tomorrow to pick up on this, because I got to get through this, because as you guys know, Monday, tax day, is the reaping, and we will need to have the week to discuss the lawsuits that are being filed in Vic Mignogna's case. All right, let me hit those super chats and justice chats that came through. We're going to hit them hard. Where did we leave off? Okay, justice chats. The Emperor says, good. Let the hate flow through you. 3-7. Identified who's in the picture with Twitter. Was pretty sure Ron Toye because of my name, because of name, but matched what I could decipher with the tweets he sent. So happy about this. Guess we now know he's not Igor. I was fairly sure he wasn't, but possibility because he's a cuck. Yeah, he is a cuck. And no, he is not Igor. And yes, he is the person who received a 400-page plus letter, stack of paper like that, guys, in an envelope of all of his defamatory tweets. And that's going to be just brutal. Okay, let me see where we left off here. Okay. Texan83. Says betting in regards to his chat before was, so Ty, how's the Yamato going? Also, how safe would I be betting Shane a bite of his favorite snack that the suit is filed on Monday? Very, very safe. Very safe. The Texan 83. He said betting. I was supposed to say betting. The Crow 751 says a live flaying sounds fun. I would jump at the opportunity to go whaling and carve through that blubber myself. Just a joke. Fear the beard. Bo Stoker says, thanks, my dude. I'm going to compile his wife's info and pass it along. I'll look to the description for contact. Frankly, enough. When I heard what was going on, I was torn between mass nausea and effing rage. Yeah, man, that's a rough case. Namrak Isto says, I tried starting an online war, trying to get Vic invited to Fan X. It failed for April 19th and 20th. Ty, please let know I really wanted to see him. I'll make sure Ty sees that. Arucard SRH says, Ty, make a YouTube. Fire Tools says, hey, Nick, are you a Warhammer fan? Notice the Imperial Quilla in the background. Yes, sir. I very much am. Mostly 40K, but a little bit of Old World, too. Johnny Drake, thanks for the donation. Insert clever name here says, please let Ty know that the Yamato manga I mentioned is available on Amazon, and it is in English. Will do. Anthony Torres says, in the red carpet introductions at KamehaCon, there weren't any boos. Not one. No one bothered Vic. No one bothered Sabbath. Everyone here is amazing. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. TLJ Screwjob says 6 hours and only 75 to 90 people. Guess it was worth it. There you go. TLJ Screwjob says, wish I started following you after first time on EVS. Well, the backlog's all there, buddy. Go watch all of it. Voken Dodinox says, internet lawyers rise up. The doctor says, but Jamal Eigel, attorney at Lowell, said Waid was okay. Oh, yeah. Jamal Eigel. Stellar legal mind there. Brandon B says, Orko weighed in on diversity in comics. Nick has an arch nemesis. I mean, but they're only an arch nemesis if they're effective at some level comparable, right? Because Crow751 says, hard to believe it's been a year. Your boy was how I found your channel. Oh, awesome. I'm glad he brought you here. Screwface Romeo says, painting a layman Russ and sipping Basil Hayden's for Cadia. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Cesario JPN says, jokes on you, Rekieta. Certain danger-haired person got a comic deal out of the mess and is geared up to prove Comicsgate raw. Oh, wait. Yeah. We'll see how she does with her $8 from that Kickstarter. Good job. Just like everybody else in the mainstream comics industry, you're not going to make any money on it. Comicsgate, the water is fine. The money is flowing. Esme Ilias Anime says, condolences to the MFer who got the 400 papers. Toye, You got one sympathetic tweet or super chat. Good job, buddy. Miss Meadowkitty. Miss Meadowkitty says, recommendation for Shane and Ron. Florsheim and Prada make very good and tasty shoes. Also, what is the best way to contact you to send the patches? You can email me, rekietalaw@rekieta.org, Miss Meadowkitty. Sorry for getting back to you 2 hours later. I apologize. But the contact's in the description. If you message me on Twitter, I may get it, but my Twitter DMs are a nightmare. Wyvern Zero says, hi, Nick. Have you heard about the situation with Tug and his daughter? Apparently the Blue Orca and its friends are trying to get CPS involved. Can they get in trouble for that? Possibly. Possibly. Ranstein Hernandez says, hard playing Sekiro while listening to you, Nick. Oh, please don't die in Sekiro. Sekiro. Mr. Non-Offensive says, Nick, Andy needs a lawyer ASAP. Purple Dragon now. Look, Andy knows where to reach me. I'll reach out to him and see what's going on. I'm completely in the dark. I mean, you guys want me to comment on it, but I really have no idea what's going on. I'm seeing stuff about an assault and a gun. I don't know. Pincalo, the driving ape man, says, Andy, Failure, and Alex may need your friend's help. Stand your ground. Just happened on stream. Alex in cuffs. Cops are not helping. They don't. Purple Dragon. Wyvern Zero says, I'm not sure if you're a fan of Brandy. Yeah, I like Brandy. But have you tried Presidente? No. I'm not well versed in Brandy, but I like it just fine. The Mexican Brandy and my late grandfather's favorite. I recommend it. I'll have to find it, buddy. Balls Monkey says, tell him, Failure. I mean, Nick. Billy the Mac says, thanks for covering this, Nick. Enjoying the coverage. Cheers. Thank you. Josue Tavares says, late, but in time for paperwork. Sweet. Let's see. Real Me says, so good. I need a smoke after this. I think, okay, I finally caught up with the chats on that are still on my stream or on my Streamlabs. So now I can move over there, work in tandem, which is always helpful. Always helpful. Okay. Digistar DBZ says, so will Wade have a crying fit over this too? I hope so. I hope so. Rolana1 says, how quickly would you expect the court to rule on Meyer's motion? Probably 30 days. Unfortunately, they're very busy. 30 days is a good, it could be technically up to 90. I think, God, I hope not. But 30 days is a good barometer of an initial expectation. That one, Magnus says, yes. Having you read Wade's text like a whiny bee is good cause to pour another drink. Cheers. Ogie G says, easy peasy Japanesey, do not stress syllables. Say Sakura, Fujoshi, Matsuri, Dakamakura, Sakura, Fukoshi, or Fujoshi, Matsuri, Dakamakura. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Let's see. John Doe says, don't shoot, let him burn, going to bed, see y'all. The doctor says, based on Wade's history, his apartment walls probably look like Swiss cheese right now from all the holes he's punched in them. Craven Moore, oh wait, I read that one. Ben Cheever says, Nick, shooting fish in a barrel would be mean. It's like making fun of somebody with mental retardation or Down syndrome. Thankfully, these are normal people who just act like they're retarded. Not to mention the fact that they are highly malicious and dangerous. That's true. DCV Titan says, lol, Shane is a human being. Good one. Jesse Bauman says, what did the Blue Orca extraordinaire do? Just a same old stupid. Daniel says, thanks for upholding true justice. I pray that the SJWs don't try and smear you next. Oh, they always do. They always do, but it is okay. I am immune to the smears of lesser men. And I do mean men, Ren. We now know you have integrity, and we will fight to uphold it. Thank you very much. Finfrog says, another manic Monday. Let's see. Darking D says, worth noting, Tim has admitted to failing to protect his trademark, which he registered on the 8th in the past. That's okay. It just matters if you've failed to protect it enough for it to become generic. But we're going to talk to him. Hopefully he'll be very candid with us on stream. So we'll see. Short Round says top 4 over 20, $20, top 4 over 20, killing me, Nick. And buddy, if you need information on that, let me know. But clearly, we have definitely 4 chats over 20 that should all get a patch. Let's see. Blaine20 says, shout out to the hashtag Women for Vic for rolling with the punches and returning fire. Thank you. Mr. DJ Fly High says, did you hear about Rooster Teeth president stepping down? I did not. That's interesting and very good news. Also, did you hear about Dr. Pepper Ghost and Shane whining on Twitter about Sky being kicked? I didn't hear about them whining. Again, I've been off Twitter all day, hanging out with my lovely wife at a very fun homeschooling conference. Very, very much was unplugged from media for the majority of the day here. Let's see. Billy the Mac with the thumbs up. Thank you. Marsupial Gamer says, whoa, holy crap. So Waid was also the guy who got Zach kicked off of Kickstarter. That's new information. I don't know if he was the guy. He just admitted to having the info. Vulcan de Dinox says the information wasn't redacted. It was lost in the Thanos snap. There you go. Kyle Dawson, can you please discuss what can be done with Andy Failure and Alex in Florida 1 hour ago? I can't right now because I literally don't know. Thank you for asking, but I have to look into it. DFW Knight says, ex-court reporter says victory was probably bigotry. Oh, yeah, that's a... Thank you. That's very likely true. Let's see. Every game played... Oh, no, I read that one. TLJ Screwjob says, wow, you weren't kidding when you said Kick Vic is screwed. Danny Agent 87 says, will you bring up an Indian lawyer for Pewd's case? Man, I don't know how to contact an Indian lawyer. But if PewDiePie's case is in the United States, because it's through the copyright system that is enforced for YouTube, he wouldn't need an Indian lawyer. He'd need a US IP attorney. I will see what I can do on that. But I got to look into it. Vulcan Dodinac says, dwarf with orbital cannon guns down space marines for spilling chocolate milk. Oh, come on. Christopher Martin, thank you for the chat. Phoenix Oram says, I lied. I'll raise you $200 if you push for 5 hours next payday. Okay. I assume you mean on the GoFundMe. We'll see. Seth says, got a split. Good show, Rackets. Thanks, Seth. Aravas says, how embarrassing. Oy vey. Ravelin1 says, Nick, you asked who says Gesundheit. New Yorkers. There are lots of Yiddish terms in New York parlance used by everyone, not only Jews. Also probably common on the West Coast, specifically LA. Well, there you go. And we also know from the deposition that he was he was in New York for a while too. So there you go. Thanks for clarifying that. Pro Commando 38 says, Cadia stands. Waid, not so much. Superbus Staro Dub says, no, Gesundheit isn't gutter German, it's German. I don't think I was trying to imply that it's gutter German. I see. That's a follow-up joke. Sorry. Skeet Neat says they should just replace all American VAs with Polish voice actor. And I do mean actor, not actors. Oh, you mean me? That'd be funny. Or is there a different Polish voice actor? That'd be great. Ravelin1 says Gesundheit is German and used by Yiddish speakers. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, supporting the show. Join me tomorrow. There will be at least one stream, depending on the timing, maybe two. Timcast will be first. We will finish this Meyer versus Waid deposition. Remember, we had 16 pages of motion to go through first. So getting through the remaining 19 pages of deposition should not be a problem in Meyer versus Waid. Let's hope KamehaCon goes well. If you're at KamehaCon, be good, be polite. And I don't mean like be good on your best behavior. I mean be good to people, be polite to people, be respectful to the staff. Look, the staff has made some missteps, but the staff has made the correct steps. Bringing Vic back, bringing him to the fans, and letting the audience speak, right? Huge line for Vic, 9 hours straight, maybe 9 to 10 hours of signing. And then Monica in 6 hours could barely get 100 people, not even 100 people. For being generous, 75 to 90 was mentioned. The contrast is stark. So be good to KamehaCon. They've done a good thing. We want more conventions to bring Vic back, and I personally will be looking into other conventions to convey the KamehaCon message to say, look, I'm not asking you to break contracts. I'm asking you to honor them. Look what it does for your convention. Look what it does for the fans. Think about what it does for your vendors, concession sales, all of that stuff. People in the building bring money, bring stats. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you tomorrow. Short round if you're still there. Message me on Discord if you need help deciphering who to send things to, and we'll see how we can get some patches to them. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Peace.